Happy Canada, everybody. That's for you. You Sandy, look, two of them. Here, bloody Canadians. Say bloody Canadians, none of them are they? Start that off. Welcome, 4020 live for Monday, 7th of October, 2019. The season is almost over. Sad reality is we're not stopping. We're just going to be here all the time. But what a weekend of action to talk about. Schoey got booed, which is...
Did you?
You got booed at the... whatever the award ceremony was called.
Oh, the Man of Steel, yeah.
Well, not in Morrison's.
I got introduced as all the panellists got introduced, and I got introduced. Well, I'm pretty happy. I got the biggest boo, so I think that's a mark of respect, don't you?
Who booed you? It wasn't
everybody,
the superstar.
Everybody.
Ellery, yeah.
But no, yeah. I think it's a mark of respect, isn't it? You know,
it's a badge.
Boo-worms, they were saying. Yeah. Anything you want to talk about at 4020 Live on Twitter. Let's get the business of flogging stuff out of the way. 25% off all Samoa merchandise. Not sure why Samoa, but it is Samoa today.
Mainly because they will be playing.
They're definitely playing.
Autumn, and we don't know whether Tonga or Lebanon will.
Using the hashtag Happy Birthday MB until midnight tonight. Let's keep going to say
that'll be Mascot Brown
it
celebrating their birthday. Happy birthday.
They must be 2 years old. If only we were 2 years old. So get 25% off mascotbrowns.com on Samoa gear tonight using the promo code, not hashtag, Happy Birthday MB. We're going to start with the England Nines because A, Schoey doesn't know who's in the squad, and B, someone's retweeted the tweet I sent out yesterday with the squad on, so I can read it out easily. So we will talk about all the other stuff. We're going to start with the Nines. 50 quid for a shirt they're going to wear for 2 days. Brilliant.
It's a nice shirt.
It's a lovely shirt. It's a lovely shirt. I'll wait till it's 25 quid though. Like the poppy shirts, they've got two sizes of the poppy shirts left on the official Rugby League shop. 3XL and 6XL.
The breed and big.
So if you want any tents this winter, that's where to go. Here's the England Nines squad.
Yeah.
James Graham, captain.
I've seen that.
Make the most of it.
They didn't fit the rest on there. Tom Burgess, Darryl Clark, Jake Connor, Ryan Hall, Ash Hanley, Jack Hughes, Reece Lynn, go on Reece, Jermaine McGilvery, Ryan Sutton, Sam Tompkins, Jake Truman, Liam Watts, Elliot Whitehead, Gareth Widdop and George Williams. Of course, there's no players from the two teams involved in the grand final. So no Saints players, and I don't think anyone from Salford would probably have got in.
Well, Josh Jones would have done, I think. And Jackson Hastings, of course, who's now
eligible to play for Britain. But that is the England Nine squad. I'll get the press release up because it mentions about the players on standby.
Well, I was speaking to Liam Watts last night, and he's been picked to the Knights team. So when is the Nines going over then?
Well, presumably he won't be playing against Jamaica for the Nines.
That's what I'm saying, because Jamaica's only 20th of October.
Yeah, and this is on the 19th.
So
I don't think he can play in Australia on the 19th.
That's what I'm saying. So he's going. Well, I'm delighted for him, but he was saying he's being left out of the
touring squad.
Of the touring squad, which is ridiculous, isn't it?
Well,
if you've got if we're picking players on form,
I guess the problem we've got is that a lot of players playing his position in the NRL who are.
Yeah, well, James Graham's dropped off. The Burgess boys have dropped off. For me, Sam Burgess will be playing. I would pick Sam Burgess at loose forward. Liam Watts surely has got to be. Thompson and Warnes will be there, but surely Liam Watts has got to be in the top four, hasn't he?
If you're picking on form,
absolutely.
And the experience would do him good as well, because with the greatest respect, we're not playing Australia.
Well, to be honest with you, Phil,
so give him international experience against
Phil,
Papua New Guinea.
Even though he's not played at that level as yet, his form deserves to be selected. It's as simple as that. It is. I was astonished. I was absolutely astonished. When I said to him, well, what explanation do they give you? He said, well, nothing.
So just quickly diverting back to the awards yesterday, not who won them, we'll come to that later. The 5 players who were nominated for the Man of Steel went to Harvey Nichols to be dressed.
Yeah.
You get an invitation?
No.
I thought you'd have been.
I think you're on the panel. You should be
trying on all of the waistcoats and
dressing
cravats.
No.
I'm surprised.
No.
What's wrong?
Here's the media release from the Rugby Football League, which came out yesterday. Blah 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 blah. A number of players, including the Canberra pair of John Bateman and Josh Hodgson, have wanted to stand off Blake Austin. Were not considered for the Nines because of injury, but are expected to be available for the Great Britain tour. Tompkins, Lynn, Hanley and Watts have been placed on standby. The full 24-man touring party will be announced on Monday week, October 14th, after the Bradford Super League Grand Final.
Yeah, he said that, did the Watts here.
That's next week's talking point.
Yeah, when I was speaking to him, that he's on standby. I find it ridiculous. I mean, the kid can't do any more. He's been, they say he's up there with Worms, he's up there with Thompson. His form. The only prop forward who's been picked as, the Man of Steel candidate. We all know who won that from there, but he fully deserves to be selected for the tour. He does.
Nines is going to be interesting, because how are we going to play nines when we don't play it?
With vision and awareness. I don't know.
Come on, Richie, get your own saying something.
I know rip off everyone. So the Great Britain squad next week, so that'll be good. We can talk about that next Monday. There's something to talk about. That's good. The Nines coming up. It's on the telly and everything.
It is on the telly. Although there is a real worry at the moment about what is happening in Tonga and Lebanon. And both of those countries seem to have issues with the local governing body and the main players saying we're not sure we want to play for those who are running the sport back at home. But we're 2 weeks away from the Nines, and two of the nations might not be playing.
So what's happening with Lebanon? What's the problem?
It's the same, yeah. They've got a disciplinary hearing against some of their major players who don't want to play for the governing body, which is predominantly based in Lebanon. But
is he still the coach, Fittler? Is Bradley still the coach? Has he left, has he? Right. Okay.
Well, I think he took the side of the players, and the governing body in Lebanon said, we're not having it.
Right.
So I don't know who's right or wrong.
Well, to be honest with you, Bradley's got to stick with his players.
But the other thing as well is, if I'd paid to go on a trip that included a test match against Tonga, I'd be getting worried, and we haven't heard definitively that this has been resolved.
Andy says he spotted Schoey at the Man of Steel Awards. He didn't see me. The two names mentioned were Phil Clark and Schoey, who were booed by the fans. It's like great company there. Everyone loves Phil Clark.
I call it a mark of respect.
As
standing
Oscar said, there's nothing worse. There's only one thing worse than being talked about, and that's not being talked about.
I think it's a mark of respect.
It's like having
I think they like it.
Yeah, Alan says Schoey not going to design a dressing gown for the event. We will get some.
That's what I thought.
Well, what we need to do, obviously, now we all know the Magic Weekend's going back to Newcastle.
Hey, which is brilliant.
Which you started a campaign
on. That's sensational. Going back to Newcastle, brilliant.
23rd to 24th of May for anybody.
Well, that's not official, is it? But yeah, because my understanding is it was going to be announced today, but they didn't announce it today. So,
but we think that's when it's going to be. So.
And we make sure, because we've got months then till May, not that I leave everything to the last minute, to sort out some 40-20 dressing gowns to flog outside a chicken cottage at 2 a.m. on the Saturday night.
That is a winner. That is.
Make sure you're there.
In fact, are we wearing dressing gowns tomorrow night in Castleford?
We should do, shouldn't we? We should.
Anybody who's in Castleford, tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock, Castleford Supporters Trust, 40-20 going on the road. Do come and boo Schoey.
I don't know if
I
don't know if we're in with Super League or not, whether we'd be allowed to sell stuff at the ground, but we'll set up a table somewhere. We'll do it. I won't be doing anything there anyway, probably. So it's all good. People want to talk about many various different things. Gemma Carter's excited. Have we talked about Salford yet? No, we will do.
I think we should talk about Salford.
Tell Schoey to get that prawn cocktail dinner ready for me. Have you been promising dinners again?
Yeah,
step up from the curry, this prawn cocktail.
Prawn cocktail.
Me and Mrs. Carter, we've got a date. Whether Gary likes it or not, we've got a date, and I like cooking, to be honest with you. And I said to her, "Listen,
are you good?"
Hey mate, I'm pretty good at cooking. Don't worry about that. So I'll give her my perfect menu, and she's absolutely delighted. Gemma, it's a prawn cocktail, and what it is the big tomatoes you can buy. I cut out the big tomatoes, right?
Yeah.
Fill it with lovely prawns, and also the sauce from there, the cocktail sauce, just lovely.
Do you make your own sauce?
Fill it from there. Don't worry about that, Benny. And then what I'm making for main course, spaghetti bolognese, lovely chilies in there from there. Piping hot, it will be lovely. And my favourite dessert, apple crumble. Tell you what, Mrs.
Custard.
Custard or ice cream, whichever she wants. I tell you what, it's going to be absolute heaven. 4 hours with a Schoey, 4 hours with Schoey, the legend.
She can't lose, can she? Even if Salford didn't win, she cannot lose.
She cannot wait, Mrs. Carter, and as I say, looking forward to it.
Bit harsh with Matthew. Says, why is Schoey dressed as a minion? You don't remember the time he dressed up as Iggle Piggle? I mean, that was a classic.
It's been said to this by my mate Mal Maninga, the Giants. Hey?
Should we start out? People want to talk about Toronto. We'll come on to that in a bit. And Brian McDermott. And we've got plenty of time. We've got 2 hours to fill. Not been that much rugby. Salford Red Devils.
It's been a great weekend, though, I have to say.
Salford Red Devils are in the grand final, which we all wanted. Because not that we don't like Wigan, but it's something different. I've got this feeling that I'm not sure what I'm going to say when we get to the predictions. But last time we had this is the rubbish stat ever. The only 2 first-time grand finalists who've won the grand final were the ones in the first 2. And they played against first-timers as well, so it doesn't count. But Castleford, since then, and Hull and Warrington have all gone and lost. Salford go there on Saturday. Unlike Castleford 2 years ago, who were the big favourites, were the best team all season. Salford are up against a team who've got all the pressure on them, unless we just made this up. They can go out there and do what they did in that game on Friday, and if they can, blitz them.
Well, first of all, the Salford fans last night, the respect as well, again, what they're showing me, but they were saying to me, hey, Schoey, we're there, you never said it, So I said, hold on, I predicted you on Friday. I predicted you to beat Wigan by 7. And boy, oh boy, what else did they do? They absolutely smacked the backsides, didn't they, from there? So, the Salford, and also as well, I was speaking to a Salford fan, he reckons at this moment in time, the Salford around 8,500 tickets for Saturday, which again, is brilliant, but going.
I think there'll be a lot of neutrals that will want to be in the Salford end as well.
Which
is what you wouldn't have had.
I would imagine so. But also too, going back to the game on Friday, we're talking about St Helens as well. But first of all, I've got to say about Wigan. Wigan with 3 capital R's. With 3 capital R's, were rubbish. Simple as that. And I can't any of their plays for 2 weeks on the bounce when they played St Helens a week before. Not one single Wigan player got over the opposition player. I'm taking nothing away here from Salford because I exactly how I feel about Salford with that performance against Wigan. But the Wigan players, as I said, with 3 capital R's, absolute rubbish from there. And even AJ Lamb said, we weren't being very good for 4 weeks. But this is Wigan's time of year, isn't it? It's in the DNA business end. Hey, but listen, they're gone. They're finished. And credit to Salford. And when you looked at that performance, straight from the kick-off, you could sense that they were getting ripped. You could sense from there it's going to be a full 80-minute performance from there. And when you looked at the 2 front rowers in Dudson and Mossop, 2 ex-Wigan players, Gil Dudson last year were playing with Widnes, and I say Mossop, as we all know what happened to him at Wigan from there with his altercation there with Bateman. But from 1 to 17, for the 80 minutes, again, it was a matter of the individuals doing what the roles were, what they have to do, and then as a team collectively, it comes there as a team. They're not relying on one man. They're not a one-man side. We all know how good he has been for Salford in Jackson Hastings from there, but we know he can't do it without everybody from there. But Salford for the full 80, what they were this week compared to what it was 2 weeks ago was smarter. And first of all, I want to say congratulations to Ben Thaler as well, because
he was excellent.
I thought his refereeing was outstanding, because as we all know what we're going to like, they are so messy around the play of the balls. They're so messy.
Will we get the grand final, do you think?
I think Thaler will get it. Obviously, Robert Hicks won't get the gig away after the Wembley scenario and St Helens there, so Hicksy won't get it. Don't worry about that. But Thaler was outstanding. He wasn't having any of the nonsense what Wigan do in the play the ball area from there. So well done, Thaler, from there. But also to Salford, the way they were smart on 2 or 3 occasions. As we all know, a couple of weeks ago, Christian Inu gave that silly pass in and Lulu I scored that try. But on 2 or 3 occasions against the wingers coming away from their own 25-30, they made half a break looking for that pass, and then all of a sudden they went, oh no, not this time. So they learned the experience from 2 weeks ago. It was a lot better, smarter performance. Taking the penalties with the goal kicks from there, which again just added extra pressure. But Salford all round, quite simple, they're enjoying this journey. And when I saw Jackson Hastings last night with the presentation, rightly so, winning the Steve Prescott Man of Steel from there, you can sense they don't want this journey to end. It is going to end on Saturday because the season has to end, as we all know that from there. But what Jackson Hastings says, and I'll add to it a little bit as well, is that he said, you know what, on Saturday night, we're throwing the kitchen sink at St Helens. Well, let me just tell you this, it's not only the kitchen sink, it's the bathroom suite, it's the sofas, it's the car what's on the driveway as well. They are going there on Saturday night, literally, for the full 80 minutes, enjoying the journey, slinging everything at them, because one thing for sure here, the pressure is on St Helens. What St Helens aren't doing, because even spoke to Paul Schoolford about it, is that, as I said a couple of weeks ago, they're not talking about winning trophies. They're not putting extra pressure on themselves. They knew how well they played against Wigan. Don't worry about this. St Helens are waiting for this on Saturday night. But so are Salford. And I tell you what, if both teams play to the best of their ability, this will be the best grand final we've had since grand final started.
Well, I think there are 3 or 4 key performance indicators for Salford at the moment. One is, we said last week that they needed to score first, because it changed Wigan's mindset. Wigan haven't got a lot of points in them this year. And as soon as those 2 penalties went over and then they conjured a try, Wigan really struggled to change the way they play.
Well, they can't change.
So that was, different to the first time they played a fortnight before, when Salford had a lot of opportunities but never scored in that first 20 minutes. I think the second thing is they only made 2 mistakes in the whole game. That is, again, we'll talk about the NRL Grand Final, and no doubt there'll be people that say perhaps Canberra were robbed because of a refereeing decision. They just weren't quite good enough over the key periods of the game. You don't get many chances in games. If you don't make mistakes, you've got a chance of winning. Salford didn't make mistakes. I think the other thing goes back to something that Richard said. Castleford last year only just beat St Helens the week before in the semi-final, because you could sense a little bit of nerves 2 years ago when they were the last team that looked like they were going to win it. And it was almost as if they'd spent all season beating everybody, and yet it got to the business end of the season and there was a little bit of concern about how they were going to play and if they could finish the job off. The way Salford played, they didn't just beat Wigan, they blitzed Wigan.
Oh, they battered them.
There was no question that they were fortunate to come up with a victory.
Not at all.
They were totally and utterly dominant. And the other thing that Salford have got is they've got 3 or 4 players that have played in grand finals. So Lee Mossop has won a grand final with Wigan. Gil Dodson, who's playing really, really well at the moment, and full credit to Mrs. Carter, who had him in the dream team when nobody else did. They've played in grand finals in key positions. That's going to stand Salford in good stead. It's not a side that haven't won a lot of big games. It's some individuals who actually have. So I'm really looking forward to it. I genuinely don't know who's going to win, which makes it really exciting.
What forecast have we got for Saturday? Do we know? Can we get it that far yet?
I'm going to guess rain, but
I think the other thing that's really interesting is going back to the last time these 2 teams played, because that was still arguably one of the games of the season.
Absolutely.
That Saints will come out with all guns blazing, 16-0 ahead, and we're all going, wow, yeah. And that could happen again, because they did that against Wigan. They are, they've had a week off. They will be primed. But Salford then played the most wonderful brand of rugby. They weren't bothered they were 16 behind. They were 30, then 16 ahead. And suddenly Saints had to find a way, unlike Wigan, who can't change the way they play. Saints did and nicked it at the end. I think we could get a very similar game.
Hey, listen, I can't disagree. And when you look at some of the matchups as well from a point, have a look at the 2 fullbacks, Helens and Coots, and then you look at the halfback pairings from there, Lola here. He must be thinking all his Christmases have come up. And I don't just mean Christmas in 2019.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about Christmas 2020, 2021 and 2022.
No, it's a great story that hasn't been told.
It's a great story for the kid, and well done to him as well, because he's knuckled down very hard from there. But that combination between him and Hastings against Lomax and Theo Farge again, and then you look at the hookers, with Roby. But I tell you what, the matches what I'm looking forward to is Dudson and Mossop against Thompson and Walmsley. Do you know what? That has got to be worth the admission money alone, because they will get ripped in. Because I tell you what, the way Salford will beat St Helens, if they can keep Thompson and Walmsley on the back foot for the first 10, 12, 15 minutes, they're in with a chance.
Interesting what Ian Watson said today at the pre-match press conference. His pack are not frightened of St Helens. They think they can match them.
Yeah.
They think they're as good as them.
Yeah.
He doesn't think that any pack this season across the whole of the season, there might have been odd games where they haven't played at their best, but there hasn't been a pack that's dominated at all this season.
I've got to buy into that.
So he is not too bothered that the reputation will be with Thompson. The way he played against Wigan was magnificent, and Walmsley, who more than made up for a disappointing Wembley with an absolutely fantastic performance against Wigan. But also, you've got people then coming off the bench like LMS who make sure the intensity doesn't falter.
Yeah.
But then, Salford have got Joey Lussick coming off the bench.
Well, Joey Lussick as well.
Who's got to be one of the, stars of the season.
Do you know what? Joey Lussick is exactly the same, as James Lawes at Kieran Cunningham when he's near the try line. You know exactly what he's going to do.
You can't stop
him. But how do you stop him? We all said that about the two of the best in the game. Certainly in the Super League era, in Cunningham and Lawes, you knew exactly what they was going to do 2 or 3 metres from a try line. But how do you stop him?
You can't.
It's great. It's brilliant. And I tell you, if it is dry, if it's dry on Saturday, because both teams will be looking to play attractive rugby league, don't worry, they're going to get ripped in with the forwards. There's no two ways about it.
There will be points.
Yeah, they will be. And I tell you what, as well, and Salford's literally at times the same as St Helens. It'll be a simple, basic game plan. We'll come from deep. We'll go hard and straight and direct. We're going to get ripped in both with the ball in hand and also two defensive wise from there. And if it's a dry night with the creativeness, a game play with that vision and awareness with the half backs and the outside backs, this will be. I reckon this could be the best grand final we've had since the grand final era.
It's going to rain all week. And on Saturday, yes, rain all week at Old Trafford. Which is perfect, because if it all goes to plan on Saturday, then it gives Ole Gunnar Solskjaer an excuse when Man United lose next time. But rain all week. Brilliantly, Saints fans taking the credit for Salford's win, because they softened Wigan up the week before.
I don't buy into that, because after 10 minutes we're going to give up. Wigan give up because they knew that St Helens, at the intensity of what they were playing with, they couldn't match, so they knew they had another goal the week after, so they certainly took the foot off the metal. So no, I'm not buying into that.
No, we're going to have got significantly worse over the last 4 weeks,
absolutely,
which they'll need to look at. But Salford have. I mean, if you only make 2 mistakes over 80 minutes, you're going to win.
And I say that mistakes, Phil, were quite simple because they were a lot smarter. Because we know the experience what they had 2 weeks ago, but they were a lot smarter this week than what there was 2 weeks ago. And that's what Ian Watson pointed to. At important times in the game, we weren't smart enough. Boy, oh boy, last Friday, were they smart?
It's been a long time since we had a new name on the trophy. I think it was Leeds, wasn't it?
2004.
Oh, dearie me. Rommel says Salford. It says Salford Saints by 28. I think if it's that relies on Salford being battered early and giving up, and I don't think they've got that within them, have they? Especially as we've seen with them this year, and obviously their key man is Jackson Hastings, who we need to talk a lot about, I guess. He wouldn't allow them to do that anyway, and their pack wouldn't allow them to do that. I don't think they can get hammered in this game. Not saying that Saints aren't a good side, but I don't think Salford will allow them to do that on the biggest stage there is.
Well, I think Salford they're playing too well, aren't they? They've not got in this position by luck. They've not got in this position because Castleford had loads of injuries, Wigan had loads of injuries to the main men, and they were playing weakened sides. They fully deserve to. They deserve where they've got to.
They nailed Castleford. That's how dominant they were.
It was only a speculator from Sean O'Loughlin, friends there. They got themselves, 4.6 points the other night from there. So this is not a fluke from Salford, and I say they will be getting ripped in. They are enjoying this journey, and on Saturday night they come to the terminus. And they're parked at that terminus, which is Old Trafford on Saturday night. They are parked there from 6 o'clock till 7:30, 7:45, however long they are, times it and whatever. And they are parked there, and they are going to give it, as Jackson Hastings says, they're going to sling the kitchen sink, and they're going to sling the bathrooms.
And they've no injury issues.
Nothing at all.
So everything is set. They can set out very early this week who's going to be playing.
Absolutely.
Which again, there's no Zach Hardacre for Cass, leading up to a grand final that's really disruptive. They can just enjoy it. If you can enjoy a grand final.
Phil, they are going to enjoy it.
They will.
Hey, mate, they are enjoying it. You could even see after the interviews, and like Ian Blease as well. I saw Bleasy last night, and I tell you what, by the way, he looked sensational. He looked like the main guy out of Peaky Blinders.
Was he wearing the hat?
Oh, sensational, yeah. He looked the business. And it's not too often that you see a CEO like a Cheshire cat just grinning. Just grinning from here to there, and it's great to see. And they are enjoying this journey, what they are on. And one thing for sure, if they pressurise St Helens, because they will be looking, I mentioned the column today, and I'm not trying to tell him what to do with his job and his preparation, but have a look at the Catalans' performance last year, have a look at the Warrington performance last year, have a look at the Challenge Cup performance, what happened this year from there. You get ripped in this because they're all human, they breathe and they bleed, and under pressure, you panic. So there's panic in St Helens from there. Can Salford win on Saturday night? I'll tell you what, Salford can win on Saturday night.
They can. I also think that we shouldn't underestimate St Helens.
Oh, nobody is.
I think the way they played in the playoffs have been pretty much exemplary.
If St Helens play like they did against Wigan, well, one thing for sure, Salford have got a game on the run.
Yeah.
Salford have got a game from a point of view trying to stop that sort of, because we're like a tsunami, wasn't it? Just keep going, and it wasn't going to stop because also their preparation, Saints, to that game for Wigan was something different.
Yeah. They've
got a smile on their face as well, and I know we're not talking about pressure, and James Rugby was saying until we won't be remembered as a great side until we start winning. So there's none of that nonsense at this moment in time. They themselves are prepared with that smile on their face from there. If St Helens do play to their best, well, yeah, St Helens will win, but Salford will have a massive say on Saturday night.
How good a deal, and I assume it was Ian Blease who put it together, was Robert Louis to Leeds for some cash and Tui Lola here?
Just worked for everybody. I think Salford saw the balance of bringing in a standoff who could play secondary to the main man, which suited Lola here. He came to Leeds, there was immediate pressure on him. We gave him the number 6 shirt. You know how heavily that weighs. But you've got to start performing from minute 1 of game 1. Whereas he's gone to Salford and he can be the guy that facilitates whatever Jackson Hastings wants to do. He's got a good kicking game. I thought his kicking game was really good on Friday night. And if he needs to spread the ball wide or keep it tight, he can do that. But he doesn't have to be the guy that makes all the decisions all the time. Whereas Robert Louis is what Leeds need. They need somebody who is a bespoke number 6, who next season, after a full pre-season, when he gets to know the players a bit more, and he's clearly got a combination with Reece Martin, I think it suits everybody. It was just a really good bit of business for everyone. I'm just so pleased for Lola here, because that story hasn't really been told. That when you look at where he was when that swap deal happened, you would never have thought that he was going to be playing in a grand final.
Well, we never even thought Salford would be playing in a grand final. Never mind Lola here. But again, as I keep talking about the balance with halfbacks, it is the right balance because, as we know, Jackson Hastings is involved massively in every set of 6 from there. But when he needs time off, Lola here, yeah, Jackson, just take 4 or 5 minutes off. Let me have a look. I'll play.
If on tackle 4 or 5, you're going to have a run. I'm not going to get in your way. I'm just going to give you the ball.
Absolutely. So again, it's the balance, playing with that vision and awareness. Then I'll take a bit of pressure off you, and then what you can do, you can scheme, you can have a look, and then when you're ready, get yourself back involved in the game. It's easily done,
Yeah.
It's easy.
I just think the balance that Salford have got, which is something that Ian Watson has managed to find very, very early this season, keep going. And it was great to see Martin Gleeson on the touchline on Friday night. There's a real family feel. And that Robert Louis was at the last game at the AJ Bell Stadium.
Great to see.
With his kids, and he walked around the pitch and all the Salford fans cheered him on. That tells you something about what's been built at Salford. I really hope that whatever happens, win or lose, they have got 5,000-6,000 season ticket holders next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And whoever might be leaving, and it's a shame that 4 or 5 of their star men might not be there next year, and you got to start again a little bit. I just hope this is the beginning of something.
Let's hope so. But also as well, when you look at this Salford side again, it's a side where nobody else wanted.
Yeah.
You look at the players. You
you can't say that because I got Phil Clark booed.
Well, it's a fact, isn't it?
I know that. But people don't listen.
It's a fact. The players from there, nobody else wanted. We look at the Jackson Hastings story. Jackson will say that he was on the scrappy. And he's Ian Blease and Ian Watson said, "Yeah, we've seen what this kid can play. What the kid can play. He proved that in the NRL. But as we all know, what's going on off the field, which doesn't need talking about. But yeah, all these players from there. But again, that is what this sort of so-called word culture." Or whatever you want to call it, but I just call it team spirit and great man management from Ian Watson, and he's got players from there who want to play for the club, they want to play for Watson, and also as well, and fair play to him. Yeah, all right, then they put themselves in the shop window. Some have moved on, and rightly so. But even though they have moved on, right, because there was talk in mid-season, I think it was after one bad defeat at home, was it? There was infighting in the dressing room, which was totally toshed and totally tarnished, and this sort of thing. But the players who, have signed contracts with other clubs at mid-season, I'll tell you what, you talk about what, they didn't want to carry on playing for Salford? Well, I'll tell you what, who's at the grand final on Saturday? It's Salford Red Devils.
The classic example of that, we all know how good Hastings has been. We know it was great that he stayed another year because of,
Absolutely.
again, you were talking loyalty.
Yeah.
You know, you gave me a chance at the very least I can do. When there were a couple of other clubs in for him saying, no, I owe you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, the other one I think is Josh Jones,
Absolutely.
who must be very close to have been selected for England or Great Britain.
He's got to be selected for Great Britain, hasn't he?
But
Got to be.
He's another one that, you know, started at St Helens, bit of a reputation, then went to rugby union, probably didn't suit him, was dropped into, I think, lower league rugby union, was playing at Taunton or somewhere like that. He has reverted back to being the potential that he had when he first came through the ranks at St Helens.
Absolutely.
If anybody is going to prove to Saints that they shouldn't have let him go on Saturday night, it's going to be him. And he'll want to bow out, go into Hull with a grand final ring. And he might get one. He might
listen, don't rule it
go
out.
out of the match.
Don't rule it out, eh?
I will never understand why clubs haven't publicly courted Ian Watson. Because surely the job he's done over the last 4 years or whatever it is, I'm trying to remember how many years I've been to these Super League events and interviewed him at the start of the season or before the Super 8s or whatever and said, oh, you've been left with the right dumpster fire to sort out here, as they'd say in America. And he has put out fire after the Red Adair or whatever of Super League coaches.
Nice analogy.
One for the viewers there. He's the most important person there. Jackson Hastings, I know, and there's nothing wrong. Justin Holbert deserved the Coach of the Year award because they won the league by 16 points. But the job Ian Watson has done this year, with, as you say, a bunch of cast-offs.
Yeah, but also as well. Let's, hey, look, when the big job's coming on again, I think he got interviewed for the St Helens job, didn't he? But they may have just felt it was a little bit too early. So we all know what they've gone with. But hey, listen, Adrian Lamb's not going to be at Wigan forever. Price is not going to be at Warrington forever. Richie Agar's taken on the Leeds job on a 12-month rolling contract from there. Hey, listen. Everybody knows the job what Ian Watson has done. Not just both on the field results, they know exactly what he's done off the field, i.e. with his man management staff on there. So, Salford fans, hey, listen, you know what a move on. Helens have been at Salford now 4 or 5 years, has he? The big boys will come calling, and as I say, both from Wigan and Warrington have got overseas signings from there. I think Price is on another 2-year deal, Lammy's on next year, and as we say, Richie Agar at Leeds from there. Hey, listen, I don't want anybody to lose a job. No way, mate. But a time and expansion from there. Watson will be at one of them big three clubs in the not too distant future.
And I think it's great that he's going on tour as well.
Absolutely.
We mentioned it before.
Him and Danny Ward.
Yeah, we can always talk about which players are unlucky to be included, but to have that beginning of succession planning.
Absolutely.
To have Watson and Ward involved and learning from the maestro,
the guru, absolutely.
It's got to be great for rugby.
Oh, it's got to be great for the game at international level. There's no two ways about it, you know. And but what Danny and Watson have got, it's quite simple. They've got the respect from the players, you know. And I think as well, what all does, and certainly Danny Ward at London from there, they do things, and I keep harping on about it, which is very important. Not just in sport, but it's in life. Do things with a smile on your face. All right, sometimes, might not be very, very nice at times, but listen, just do it with a smile on your face because you will get the rewards. And it's great to see, fantastic to see. And don't get me wrong here. Hey, listen, we've got a quality side in St Helens who have been easily the best side for the last 2 years.
It's been magnificent.
But again, it's that pressure. But Justin Holbrook has been great at St Helens. He changed all the rubbish what Kieran Cunningham dished up from there. The players absolutely love him. He plays the game in the right way from there. He does stuff with a smile. When he got the award last night, literally he apologised. And they said, well, you know, because the Salford fans were obviously, and rightly so, chanting out Watto's name, and everybody knew that I felt that, Danny Ward should have got the Coach of the Year. But Justin Holbrook said, hey, listen, you know, this was voted in August, you know, so don't be blaming me that I've got the Coach of the Year. But yeah, best side for the last 2 years, and listen, it's all about pressure. It's all about pressure.
Rommel's mentioned, Rommel Saint has asked a couple of questions. I'll come to the first one here. Is the occasion going to affect Salford? Now, you've obviously played in big finals. You were there. How long were Leeds waiting to get to Wembley before they got there in '94?
It was 78.
78 the last time, so 16 years, isn't it?
Now, you would never feel pressure for anything, I know that, but for your teammates who perhaps didn't have that personality you have, would they go into a game feeling pressure? How would you treat the Salford team who haven't been to a grand final?
Well, because it's something what they haven't known about is it's the build-up. It's not when you get to the stadium itself. It's all the build-up, because what you're doing, you get attention what you don't normally get. And like nowadays, we know with mobile and all this sort of thing, whatever. The social media. Certainly, that is a different pressure. Well, that's where man management comes into it. But also as well. One thing what I learned very, very quickly was don't be changing what you do. Do not whatever you have normally pre-match or this sort of thing. Whatever if you go to sleep at a certain time, just do what you normally do. Do not change anything, because if you get out of that routine, that's when it can start. You think to yourself, because a bit of anxiety. I tell you what, am I ready for this and this sort of thing? So everything what you normally do, just do there, and this relaxation. Smile on your face, have a bit of a laugh and a joke, and then you know exactly when the right time will come, and that right time will be when you step on that bus, getting to the ground from there, and off you go. It's called being relaxed and enjoyment, and that will be the man management side of what will bring to his players.
Ian Watson's saying they're going to Old Trafford on Wednesday for the walk around. Yeah. Climatise themselves. They can enjoy that bit.
They'll know which dressing rooms are in, won't they? Do they know yet?
Yeah, but what they won't, they can have a laugh and the selfies and everything on Wednesday.
Yeah.
By the time it gets to Saturday night, that's all gone.
Oh, it's all done.
The interesting thing for Salford will be, will they travel the 2.5 miles on the day, or will on Friday night, will they go and stay in a hotel? Because again, that's slightly changing the routine. If I was Ian Watson and I've got such a tight-knit group, I'm not sure I would stay in a hotel the night before.
Well, do you know
I'd meet up.
Well, do you know? Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'd have a big event.
Well, do you know what?
But I'd go home, sleep in your own bed.
Correct.
And come back.
I agree with that. I'm sure what I will do, and it would be for sure if I was part of the Salford side and the team management, I'd be saying to the players, listen, lads, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to Walsall? Or do you want to just stay at home? Ask the players.
Don't make it any more than it needs to be.
What they want to do, because I'll give you an example here. And you were there at that game. We played Widnes at the quarter final of the Challenge Cup. You remember? There were 27,000 people there.
I do remember.
And Malcolm was our coach, and he took us to the big hotel in Harrogate, Majestic. He took us to the Majestic Hotel for the Saturday night. Oh, it was absolutely woeful, because, and if I'm honest with you, there were parties galore at the Majestic Hotel, and if I'm honest with you, it wasn't a matter of drinking alcohol, but there was females about and all this sort of. There was too much distraction. I'm not saying they were, taking in the rooms or whatever, but there was too much distraction. And the players, what time do we have to go to bed? Oh, well, this
and it takes your mind off.
What the purpose is. What the purpose is, and you know exactly what the result was. I think we got absolutely flogged 32-6 or something like that. It was absolutely pathetic. But the main blame of it was quite simple, because we didn't, not about the preparation, but it just took us away what we normally did.
You get out of your routine.
Out of the routine, and I'm sure Salford won't be doing that this week.
No. I think if it was me, I would be saying, look, we try and keep this as near a normal game as possible.
That's what
we don't need to stay over when we're only round the corner. Let's meet, for a team midday meal at the AJ Bell Stadium, but let's not, do something we're not used to.
Absolutely, I agree. Too. And maybe as well, Wolfie, what I would maybe think of, maybe about 500 yards from Old Trafford.
Get them to walk.
Just let the players. Just let the players, because when they get to Salford, they walk from the car park from there. I would maybe be thinking, about 1,000 yards away, 500 yards from Old Trafford. Yeah, lads. I'm getting goosebumps now thinking about myself. I wish I were playing myself. I'm thinking, yeah, lads, just enjoy this build up from here. Just enjoy this build up. Absolutely. I would maybe be thinking that, but the important fact of what I would be doing, I would be asking the players what they wanted to do. That would be my philosophy.
So Brian Clough getting the Leeds players out to walk to Derby or whatever it was on that film. That didn't work on that occasion, though, but that's all right. It won't happen to Salford. Rommel asked about Wigan. Obviously, as Saints fan, this is an important question. Ask Schoey, should Sean O'Loughlin retire?
Yeah.
There you go.
Sean O'Loughlin.
He can do nothing. He can't add anything else.
No. Listen, Sean O'Loughlin will go down as a Wigan legend. There's no two ways about that. His career has been sensational. But what I saw on Friday night was simple. The time has come now for Lockers to retire. And I'm hearing that he's going to be the Great Britain, so even maybe the captain. I'm sorry. But no. If I was Wayne Bennett, I would be retiring Sean O'Loughlin as an international player. He's not bringing anything now to the table, and I don't want him to go on a season too long and lose that sort of legacy. Sean O'Loughlin is a Wigan legend, and for me, he should retire, and one thing for sure, he should not be picked for great men going to New Zealand.
I think the other thing is that Adrian Lamb's come out today and said there's going to be further reshaping of the Wigan squad. So even though they've announced 4 or 5 new players for next year, and some fringe players will be moving on, to reshape your squad, you have to provide salary cap money. Now, if that is Sean O'Loughlin saying, I'll move into the coaching ranks, it sort of works for everybody, because to have change,
it's wage,
somebody's got to retire.
He's 35 years of age, isn't he, Lockers now?
Yeah.
And his game time's getting less.
But his influence,
his purpose
is not quite. I mean, it was a brilliant visionary kick for Bevan French, but when you're already 28-0 down, it's too late.
Exactly. You know, his purpose in the performances now, they're nowhere near what it used to be. And you know what? I think Sean will be smart enough himself to hope for. Well, I'm hoping himself will realise this and say, you know what, I've had a great time, I can't do any more.
And I think they need him on the coaching staff, because the one thing that Wigan have always had is somebody that understands what it means to play for Wigan.
Absolutely.
So, you know, there was a transition when Sean Wayne left. There was always going to be, because obviously he was Mr. Wigan.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, Adrian Lamb coming in, being given the job for next year, to have Sean O'Loughlin alongside him, particularly maybe even as the reserve grade coach, we're going to get 8 teams back. It'd be a great opportunity for Sean to start his coaching career, influencing the young Wigan kids.
Absolutely.
You know, I would be putting to him, now is a very good time to transition into coaching.
I agree totally. But for me, Sean should retire, and he's had a great career. A Wigan legend.
Magnificent.
Not just a warrior, but he's a Wigan legend.
He's been absolutely magnificent. One of the players of his generation.
Oh, he's been one of the best players in Super League. In the Super League era.
To segue on, and speaking of great players of this era, or before that, if you want to get involved with today's special deal, I feel like it should be on QVC, with Mascot Browns, you get 25% off Samoa merchandise until midnight tonight using the promo code HappyBirthdayMB. MascotBrowns.com, the place to go for all your rugby league merchandise, books, magazines, all kinds of jazz on there. Super League Awards last night. We'll talk about the event. I know last week we had our misgivings, myself and you, Phil, about the whole thing and the way it was set out. And we can still have those opinions regardless of whether people enjoyed it or not. Before we get on to the awards, I upset people on Twitter yesterday. People need to realise, if you don't want to follow me, you can unfollow me, you can mute me, you can block me. I don't care. It's my platform to say whatever I want about things.
Most of the time you're right, to be fair.
I like the idea of celebrating people who are retiring. Unfortunately, they missed a few people out, as been pointed out on social media. It's like the unenviable task is the person who puts together the list of obituaries at the Sports Personality of the Year, because you're going to miss someone out. Having said that, I'm not sure everyone should be lumped together, because in the case of Danny Maguire, who's probably going to go into the Hall of Fame sooner rather than later when his career comes to an end, which he has, and when he's eligible, his records need to be put to one side almost. I don't necessarily think everyone who retires deserves to be celebrated if they have had past that don't deserve to be celebrated for off-field misdemeanours. But that's just my opinion. You may think, what they do on the field trumps all that. But
I also think at the Super League Awards, which is predominantly what they were, there was a separate dinner for the Championship and League One. But the people who retire should be in Super League. So if they're not currently in Super League, even though they played in Super League, they shouldn't necessarily be in the retirees. But was it a good event? I mean, the misgivings we had wasn't that people wouldn't enjoy it. No. And the reaction on social media seemed to be that quite a lot of people who went on clearly did. Was it as prestigious an occasion as it perhaps that needs to be?
Well, let's just say it was different. And
there's nothing wrong with different.
Yeah, it was different. And if I'm honest with you, it is the biggest night of the celebration. It is the biggest awards what are given out. And for me personally, I would have still stuck with a black tie job. I would have still stuck with the free course meal as what it was from there. Yeah, I buy into how they want to change it and moving forward in transaction with the supporters. But I just feel as though that it could have had a little bit more purpose in it from a point of view.
A bit more prestige.
Absolutely. In what the Man of Steel really means, if I'm honest with you, from there. And it was different. It was enjoyed by everybody, but for me, was it my cup of tea? If I'm honest with you, I would say no, not for me, because I want the biggest awards night to be prestigious, purposeful, and making it something which is very, very special.
Now, £4.60 a pint as well.
Was it?
Mm-hmm. Neither of you watch wrestling, so this is a very niche comparison. But WWE, the World Wrestling Entertainment, WF as was Luke Menzies, who's in it, and Daniel Vido, and the RFL should not the RFL Super League should be getting involved in that. They have a Hall of Fame event around WrestleMania. Now, they used to have it as a black tie dinner, blah blah blah. Then they opened it up to the fans, and you know what fans are like. This is almost the same thing. I'm not comparing like with like, but as soon as you invite the great unwashed like myself, people are going to jeer and chant and stuff. And I know they kind of wanted that, but when people are going up and getting, I'm not talking about Schoey getting booed. He gets booed everywhere. We mentioned that before.
I get booed at home.
Yeah. When someone goes up to get an award and they are booed,
no tea for you tonight.
When someone gets up to get an award and he's booed, it doesn't quite sit right.
It does detract.
You see, also, you see again, because you know what I'm like, fellas. I love the history of the game, don't I? You know, and to be honest with you, the Man of Steel Award started in 1977, won by our great friend David Ward, who was the first participant. And who won it last year? Who was the winner last year? The Man of Steel. Who won the Man of Steel last year?
That's a good question, that one.
Who was it last year? The Man of Steel. Look, Gale 17. Who won it in 2018? Somebody tell. Who won it last year? The Man of Steel.
Knowledgeable broadcast.
Who won the Man of Steel? Who won the Man of Steel last year? Who was it? Was it a St Helens player? Who was it?
I barely remember who won the grand.
You're a historian.
Was it someone from Warrington?
Who
So everyone's going to message us now. You can't win anything.
Oh, Blake Austin.
No, Blake Austin's this year. If he won it last year, it'd be bloody good. No wonder they changed the system.
Anyway, so the point...
Someone will tell me in a minute.
the point I'm making is... All right, we'll go to...
It shows you how far
right,
the awards for.
Oh, there you go. Ben Barber. I should have said...
I wonder we forgot.
I should have said it was Georgia.
I wonder we forgot. But anyway, so just going back to... You know what I'm like. I love the history of the game and this sort of thing. So from David Ward winning in 77...
I mean, he has been banned now, so we don't mention his name. Yeah.
Honestly, I asked some intelligent questions where we don't know. And up to Ben Barber 2018, there was no history from 77 to the present day. Does that make sense? You know, any action from, I'd say, from Ellery's day, from my day, from the Minor Fire's day, until all the present. I would like. This is what I'm talking about, prestige, because getting goosebumps myself. Absolutely delighted, when I won it back in 1991, and again, it's the history from there where we're not forgetting, from a point of view, why this was brought in until the present day, which I totally buy into. But I just felt as though
it's great that you get to choose.
On
a weekly basis.
Yeah, absolutely.
I get all of that, but I just still. Apparently, there were some people that turned up in black tie.
Oh yeah. Some people did.
So I think that shows you that there is still a willingness.
Oh mate, yeah. Listen.
And you can have both. There must be a way of saying those who are involved in the ceremony need to wear a black tie. Those in the auditorium come in your colours, and
have a fans award.
It's like Sports Personality of the Year these days. That's as much now open to.
Well, that's an entertainment programme, isn't it? It used to be a sports review of the year. Now it's just entertainment.
But there is a way of having the stars at the front.
But Phil, it's got to, for me, it's got
to have that prestige.
It's got to, as you mentioned, and that special feeling. To be honest,
I get that.
It hasn't. But overall, it was a good night. Everybody enjoyed it. From there, and I say the winner. Fully justified.
We're not criticising the event for the sake of criticising.
Oh no, we're not criticising.
We're not criticising it at all. We're just saying,
criticising at all.
Did it work?
It's constructive. Jill says they tried to make it like the BBC Sports Personality, and it didn't work. Too amateurish. I was there, so Jill paid her money.
Well, what I think they should do, which we don't do enough, is for everybody who bought a ticket, they should get an email rather than looking on CFAX, saying what was good and bad about what we did. Get some feedback, and then maybe tweak it a little bit next year. Bring back, Now I thought, getting Harvey Nichols to dress the 5 nominees works for everybody.
Used to see,
we don't normally have Harvey Nichols associated with rugby league, so I sort of get that. But everybody else should have perhaps worn a black tie who was involved in the ceremony. Because except the woman of the year, obviously.
The shame is, of course, that we don't now find out which players have voted for their mates at other clubs, which was always a highlight of the year. I'm hoping.
But that's great, because you've got people that understand the game.
To be honest,
you've played the game, we haven't played the game.
But say, fellas, as well, they've got the proper people doing the vote and giving it, because as we know what the Man of Steel is, and also named after the great man himself and Steve Prescott, it has now, as the award, it has got the purpose, and they've got
kudos.
Correct, and it's got the right people who are judging this on a week-to-week basis and giving it rightly so to the right person who wins it, and not making it an absolute joke like players did, voting for Mickey Mouse, Pluto, even voting for me. I played for 20 years, you know what I mean? Absolute pathetic.
You're still going.
They haven't released who was voting for who in the women's game, but 3 people voted for Wakefield players, so that's interesting.
I think the interesting thing, again, looking at some of the social media of the Women's Award, which I think it's brilliant that they now get somebody who is given a significant accolade in the same ceremony as the men, and I think having them pictured together at the end of the evening is brilliant. But it was clear that the Leeds women who'd played at St Helens in the afternoon wanted nothing more than to dress up on the bus, to make it really special. And no doubt all of the women who were at the event got dressed up to be part of it. You know, if you just said to them, you can come in jeans if you want. It's not quite the same. Courtney Hill talking about the amount of straighteners there were in the Leeds dressing room. Good on them.
249 people voted for Courtney Hill. Emily Rudge was second with 115 and Kelsey Gentles third with 98. Johnny Cunningham 88, Rhiannon Marshall 79. Your favourite player, Danielle Anderson 74. So
funnily enough, Leeds won without it yesterday.
Yeah. So that's the top 6, if you will. Leeds Rhinos. We'll talk about the women's game later because we need to talk about those semi-finals. We need to talk about the final because people want to talk about the venue, which has got everyone upset as these things are. Mark says, fashion advice from Phil. Wow, heard it all now. I've heard worse.
If you want to know anything about the fashion of the 1970s, I am your man.
Get your slalom lager jumper.
I am your man. So, my entire wardrobe is now in vogue.
Do you know what? I'm just going to... I'm just going to put it out there. If the designer out there now, I'm just going to put this right. We talk about a dressing gown. I'm just wondering if there's anybody out there who can design me a dressing gown, right, with all the club colours. Super League teams, design me a dressing gown of all the colours of the Super League clubs. Is anybody out there? Please send it. And I'll tell you what, I can't wait to wear it. Can't wait to wear it. Can't wait.
Yeah. Well, here's
here's
Odessa. Here's Odessa. We want to set Newcastle. We want to keep that time. We don't like change. No wonder the game is dying. No, we don't say we don't want change. We just like some things.
Yeah.
We don't like other things. It's all
right. What was that question?
Just saying we don't like change, but we do.
If
you listen to other programmes...
I think we're in the forefront of promoting change, but we don't like change for change's sake. I think it all needs questioning. If people have been to that event and some were mixed in their opinion, that's a very good way of changing it over for next year. There's nothing wrong with that.
But also as well, do you not think at times where we fall down heavily in our great game is that we don't listen to people's opinion. You know, they're experiencing this, and why do we not listen to these? The people's opinion? Because we're going on the road tomorrow night. We're going to Castleford, and you know we're looking forward to it. And we'll be taking their questions and giving opinions, and that's what it's all about. And we will be respectful of their opinions because when we're the short, you know, the Castleford people, as they all are in rugby league, whether you're from Cass, Featherstone, Wigan, Leeds, Sage, Windus, wherever,
they know
Hull, whatever, you know, they've been watching it for many years, and they care about the game and they want to give open honest opinion.
And there isn't a right or wrong answer to
absolutely.
Any of this. You were there. I certainly watched it and the information coming through, the reaction to it this morning.
Mixed.
You know, I think it is worthy of what they're trying to do, but it needs a bit of feedback.
We are going to officially, by the way, dedicate the show to Luke Douglas's career, who was missed off the video and everyone's upset about it. So, Luke, this programme's for you today. Jill said some of the players look like bouncers. They always do. So I didn't have coffee, free coffees. Gaynor says, you looked okay, Schoey.
What were you wearing? What do you have on? Cravat?
No. Cravat?
Culottes?
No, just a smart pair of trousers, my shirt, and a decent a 3/4 jacket with no collar on, you know. So I can. The Bilal lad can smart up when he wants to. Yeah, you know, my shop is Prada Mark. You know what I mean? So
Bilal Market. Do they have a market?
Chino.
Yeah, Prada Mark and Matalan, whatever you call it, from there. Yeah. So no, it's. You know, Well, at the end of the day, when we go to these, again, you want to feel a bit special, don't you?
Well,
you know, when you're tossed up.
I think the main thing is that whoever is involved in getting an award feels special.
Absolutely.
And if feeling special is wearing something like a tuxedo, I don't find anything wrong with that.
We don't wear it every week, you know.
No, not at all.
I've got a tuxedo, and I might wear my tuxedo maybe once every 18 months or every 2 years or whatever, or maybe once every 12 months.
But when you do,
you feel special.
It's a special occasion.
You feel like James Bond. Yeah, I saw some martinis shaken upstairs, yes.
Belial's James
I'll
Bond.
have Miss Moneypenny on my side with the martinis, you know. But you feel like James Bond film.
Absolutely.
Hey, I could be the new James Bond. What do you think?
There is an insinuation that the lady on your arm made you look better, or she made you look good.
Oh, that's a bit harsh. That's a bit harsh. That's going to look well, you know, for a Balala.
Kaner says we're at the walls. They should have shown more of the nominees. Only shown Justin Hall, but not anything of Watts or Wardy. Watson or Wardy, I should say. Certainly, Watts wasn't for coaching.
I say, it is what I said earlier. You know, I reckon there could have been more video. I.e., you know, because you know the Man of Steel has been from '77 up to the present day, you know, and again with the history and what this has meant to people. Do you know what I mean? But again, things will be looked at. You know, but overall, it was different. And we'll see how it's going to move on from there.
It's not like this show where if you give us feedback, we just ignore it and do whatever we want to do anyway, because it's our programme. It's coming up to that time in the show where the teas will be arriving. Congratulations to Nigeria, who we are fully behind. You see, this is people who don't like change. Fully behind Rugby League in Africa, because there's a seam of talent
the story
that hasn't been
will come out as to how difficult it's been to stage this tournament. And having been involved in getting the scores and match reports, there is some phenomenal work being done on the ground against the toughest of odds. Nothing to do particularly with rugby union. We've had obstructions from rugby union in the past that don't want games to be played. But to get 4 nations, 3 of whom had never played before, to play in a tournament over 4 days in Lagos, to have Nigeria win it, and obviously to have Morocco make the final. They're slightly resurgent. We've had rugby league in Morocco, but it's never really fully been able to take off. To have Ghana and Cameroon now with domestic leagues on the back of what's been achieved at an international level, fantastic. Cannot give enough credit to the people who have made this happen. And we get too hung up about, was it a good standard? Was it it was competitive. The guys who played absolutely loved the opportunity to represent their country. The World Cup was there. There was work done in schools in Lagos. There were 70-odd people.
Did I see Karen Moyle from the RFL?
Yes, she was introduced to the teams. That
she didn't get lost like that. So whoever went to Castle the other week.
So it must be something. It's for Mascot Brown's birthday.
Cheers, Steve.
I just think whatever the logistical issues, you'll be able to read about some of them in the new Forty20 next week. It's just a real triumph for the sport. We've got to build on it. And they all want to be involved in the next round of World Cup qualifiers. Now, if we can have an African qualifying group, wow, that would be something else.
Podcast news.
Are we big in Nigeria?
Well, not Nigeria, but thank you to everyone who downloads the podcast. It's much appreciated. Do leave us a review. Do like the page on Facebook, by the way. If you are watching on Facebook today, like the Forty20 magazine page. If you're watching on YouTube and you've got a Facebook account, go to Facebook and like the page there as well. We don't do the whole shouting about how the charts, because the charts are a weird thing, but we were at one point the 3rd biggest rugby league podcast in the UK behind the Super League one and the BBC one, which is not bad for an independent thing to be. So thanks for listening, thanks for tuning in. It is a vote of confidence. Elsewhere, I think that's it, because we can talk about the women's game in a moment. Claymore says that get the retirees to be the guard of honour for the grand final.
Good idea.
Why not? Colin says, what about the week Schoey didn't vote for Jake Connor because he forgot about him?
Not him.
No, his system's perfect.
Not him.
That's your opinion. That's why you were there.
You know that game? Right, it was the Cass game, yeah, I was there. But also too, how well did Albert Kelly play? Jamie Shaw was outstanding. I think, who did I give the 1 point to? The winger, I gave 1 point to Shaw, Nadio the winger.
Nalago.
Yeah, Nalago 2 points, and Albert Kelly 3 points. In that game, if you break it all down, he did 2 quality things. That's all. Jake Connell, 80 minutes. That pass to the wing of Argo first, and then that break what he made down on the right hand side, and the pass into
Kelly.
Into Kelly. Apart from that, he didn't do anything.
Paul from Cass, where we're going tomorrow, says Schoey, the man with the golden bun. Be called 006. Just get it on the back of his shirt. We'll
back
do
of the
that.
dressing, yeah.
I'll come to Gareth's question in a moment because we'll talk that in a
That'll do. 006 will do for me.
Talk that briefly. John says, Salford invited the 2 kids pitching the crowd to Salford's training session today. Richard, will you mention it, please? Yeah, they showed them on Sky, on Sky Sports News.
I have to say as well that when social media works, it really works to show those kids over and over the weekend in such tearful, emotional, joyous. I couldn't help but think about that, saying this is why we all got into sport, because it releases those emotions. You cannot buy that, you cannot replicate that. It's something that happens because somehow you're overwhelmed by what it means, and you're with your friends and your family, and the team that you're raising the scarf for have just done something amazing. Those kids were magnificent, but we had the presence of mind to then put it out on social media. I think that should be part of the marketing campaign this week for the final.
Why not?
And Salford again saying, get in touch, because Super League got in touch saying we want to give you tickets. Salford said, we want to bring you down to training. That to me says more than, some of the supposedly clever marketing we try and do. That is just pure, raw, unadulterated emotion. And it made me well up watching it.
Hey Phil, but no, this was well reached. But at the end of the day, if Salford can't do it now, when literally they're in a grand final, which nobody ever in the wildest dreams. Let's not forget here. 3 years ago, 2016, Absolutely. They were 2 minutes away. They were 2 minutes, and I was there myself. They were
gone.
2 minutes away from going out of extinction, because they would have done.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. The mess what they was in, they would have gone out. So this now, for 3 years later on, excuse me, to be in the grand final. If this is not the best time to get people interested in rugby league around that area,
they will have them for life. Yeah. You cannot replicate that thing. They won't suddenly go and support somebody else.
Oh, no.
They're not going to become Wigan fans in
Absolutely.
3 years' time.
Absolutely.
They have got them now for life.
Great
Look after them, promote what they've done, build on the back of that.
I agree totally. But again, also we've got to say as well, congratulations to another side that's just down the road, being promoted to the Championship, Oldham. What a great job! What a great job! Scott Naylor's done there, the chairman, Chris Hamilton. Chris has stuck by that club through thick and thin, through even thinner and thinner and thinner. So Oldham just down the road, congratulations to them.
They need a new stadium to play the Championship Rugby League.
Yeah, they do.
I don't think they can stay at the Vestacare.
But he'll be working hard on that on Chris from there. So congratulations
they need
to
a
Oldham.
new coach because Scott's moving on.
Well, it looks like Matt Diskey's going to go there, doesn't it? So, but again, congratulations to them.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised that having broadcast all these games that the RFL do these days, that they can't afford some scaffolding to take to these grounds. But there you go. Whoever does it. I've been pulled up about talking about Wakefield's new signings. Remember a few weeks ago I said Wakefield fans would be surprised by a new signing, and it was Paul Gallen I was talking about. But there you go. Never mind.
So do we need to start the next hour by talking about
that next? Yes, because I just want to get out of the way. Gareth has sent us a message in all capitals.
Oh, it must be serious.
Well, this is an easy one to answer.
Who's this?
This is Gareth. We'll talk about Toronto in a moment. But he says, do any of you guys know anything about this consortium that's apparently taken over at Bradford? Not more than you've read in the papers.
My only comment on that, because it's, again, seems to be very early days in this developing as a story, is that I think one of the things we saw early this week was the appointment as the full-time chair of the RFL of Simon Johnson. And whatever the situation at Bradford, whoever might be the people coming in, whatever has been left behind, I think the first thing there needs to be is a full-scale investigation undertaken by Simon Johnson, who is not tarnished with whatever other decisions the RFL have made. They need to be brave and bold to say, if we're culpable for any of this, we need to come out and accept our responsibility. We need to know, this will be the 5th time in 7 years that Bradford potentially have a new owner. There is clearly something wrong with the due diligence project, with the latitude that has been allowed, because it's deemed to be important to keep the club going in its current guise, for the lease that's been bought at Odsall, which again had never happened. All of this needs looking at. And before, I understand that it's at a time of year where clubs want to start finalising squads, but there has to be a very quick, full-scale investigation as to how we've got to this point.
And one of those questions that certainly needs to be asked is why have they been forwarding money for next year?
Spent money for next year.
And where's it gone? What has that money gone on? And what if I buy the Bradford Bulls? What am I buying? Because I'm not buying a ground. No. I'm not buying anything apart from some pens. They own nothing.
Yeah, but again, when you look at it, because as you all know, the club I worked for 12 months ago, I'm on £12,450, right? And what I was intrigued with by today, when I read this with the RFL, because I've had no help from the RFL whatsoever on my situation, and when the RFL say it, they won't prove that there is a clear plan to pay creditors and to satisfy the club's long-term financial future before considering requests made by the club to be allowed out of special measures. Well, at Keighley, there's myself who's owed money, so is coaches, so other players, so are members of staff, right? And what the RFL did, instead of giving the money to the people who was owed money, these few people who took over in 2009 in this old Cougar Mania rubbish, they gave them the distribution money. How is that right? How is that right? Giving people money what they are owed to people who realistically it's not their money to give. How does that work out?
Nor is the answer a points deduction, which seems to be our default position.
Exactly.
Oh well, we found you, we took points off you. Whatever Bradford need to do, and it might be going back over old ground, and it could well be that a new club needs to start, not just continually taking over the existing club and the debts of that club and not paying some of them, and new money's coming in that is never quite enough to bridge the gap. There needs to be a halt that says, look, we need
absolutely, but also as well
to start a forensic examination of how we've got to where we've got.
Rich mentioned there, how can they be given distribution money already?
And have spent it. When they've only got 12 players for next year?
Well, exactly. The other kind of cats.
They've lost James Green now, so they've got 11. And when they could have been in Super League if they made the playoffs. And without people saying it's an anti-Bradford
thing.
It's nothing to do.
No, it's not at all.
We'd ask the same questions about any club. And
again, I just think that if we are serious about changing how the sport looks and feels, one of the things we have to do is have a governing body that. So Simon Johnson seems to be an honourable guy. I don't know him well enough to pass judgment on him, but one of the things again that he said about being so proud to take up the role of chairman of the RFL was he wanted transparency. Now we have heard that line from how many people?
Phil, I was just going to say to you, is that going to happen?
Well,
he wants to be more open and transparent. Is that going to happen?
Well, this is the first test, isn't it? if he stands by what he says, there has to be openness and transparency about who has made some of the decisions that have got Bradford into the state where they're not even playing for Bradford. Well, and some of those people may even be people that work for him at the RFL. I don't know. But unless you start that investigation rather than just pass on the problem to the next group of people that want to invest, you'll never solve it. There is no openness or transparency if you just allow that to happen. And if it is going to happen, now is not the worst time to happen because nothing. Clubs want to sell season tickets at this time of the year. Clubs want to sign players at this time of the year. Pre-season will start in another. But if you're going to have a club that needs investigating, you've got that window now. Even if it has to be done quickly. But Bradford are in limbo anyway.
Yeah. But Phil, why have they been given money already?
Well, all of this
distribution. Why have they been given it already?
Well, to me, only Simon Johnson can say how has this been allowed to happen. And he might be part responsible for it. I don't know. It might have come to the board, and the board might have said, "We think it's a good idea." But
they're a mess, aren't they?
They are a real mess. And I think that without again picking out individuals because we don't know all the facts as they sit at the moment, the question of how Andrew Chalmers was allowed to take on Bradford. When the smallest bit of background information about him was he didn't have the necessary finance, and for it now to have got into the situation where even pension funds might have been not topped
Phil,
up.
it was the same. It's
a scam.
Phil, it was the same at Keighley. It was the same at Keighley with this literally con man, Shane Spencer,
we have
coming in from there. Why are they allowed? There's supposed to be a fit and proper purpose test.
Yeah.
Why are they allowed to get involved in rugby league? It's a joke.
Absolutely.
I would ask, again, with everything we know and everything we don't know, what are the players' union doing about it? Because they must know plenty about what's going on at Bradford. He says, raising an eyebrow. And 2, there are plenty of people connected to Bradford who have very public forums to speak out, including current and former employees on national media and local media, and none of them are ever willing to say a thing. So you ask why, they never ask the question. It's all right us saying things and everyone else out there, but when the people involved at the club, and were involved at the club when it failed, don't say a word and prance around on telly and radio, ask the questions why they don't say a thing. It's all right paying the poor old Bradford card, but there comes a point when you have to ask the questions and they know the answers.
We've got 50 minutes left, and I'm sure that there is a passionate Bradford fan out there. Are they now disillusioned with everything that every other year seems to happen to their club? And I know there'll be already probably a hardcore of season ticket holders that will be happy to have given their money and will be planning on going to Dewsbury next year. But how do they feel that every time we get to this point, the people who are the materially affected the most are the fans?
It's like watching the Athletics where Seb Coe comes out and blames Gabby Logan for the fact that the Athletics were rubbish and no one was there to watch it. And yet I'll tell you what, one of the biggest conflicts of interest this week in the sports media is the amount of people who are paid by Nike not commenting on something involving Nike and not actually openly saying on the TV that they are being paid by Nike while sitting there being paid by somebody else.
Isn't the next World Championship going to where the
I believe so.
Nike is? Yeah.
I believe so.
But we have to get away from this and have some genuine governance and transparency.
And Gareth, you've mentioned a name of a potential investor at Bradford, and I will say again, as was said before, look at how many times that person comes out with statements about many and various things he's going to do, and how many of those things involving Rugby League has he done. There's no new team in Cumbria. There's no new team in Liverpool.
He's not involved. He's categorically not involved.
Just ignore him. Just ignore him.
Although he obviously clearly wants Salford to win. And wanted Featherstone to win at the weekend.
Which is interesting.
I don't know why, a man who sets up new clubs, he's so anti-Toronto.
Obviously, as a completely anti-Heartlands pro-expansion programme, what this is, people get very upset, don't they? People who've got no connection to either team on Saturday. I didn't care who won. It doesn't bother me. I'm not going to go watch Wakefield in Toronto. I might go watch them in Fev. I know where it is. I was there the other week. But Toronto won.
Gary's going to Toronto next year, aren't you?
If I get an invite, I'll go.
You'll get
of course, if I get an invite.
You'll get your invite.
Sandy will get you an invite.
Sandy will sort you out.
Yeah, if I get an invite, I'll go.
So I didn't care who won necessarily.
Travelling in a dressing gown, business class. 006 on the back in Toronto colours.
From Inverness, wherever they fly out from. So I didn't care who won.
That is a frightening thought.
Toronto are in Super League, as they announced last week. Super League hilariously coming up with a press release. When did they 8 months ago? So Toronto are in Super League. They beat Featherstone. Everyone goes, "Oh, Featherstone, yeah, blah blah." M62, blah. Heartlands, we don't look after them. Forgetting the fact that, of course, the best 2 players for Featherstone, or 2 of the best players for Featherstone recently, or maybe 3 of their top 4 performers, don't actually belong to them. But apart from that, the man of the match for Featherstone doesn't belong to Featherstone Rovers. But Toronto are in Super League, and everyone hates Toronto because they are foreign and they are new, and they don't have any Canadians in their team. They're playing the national anthem and this and that and the other. They may fail. Paris failed. Celtic Crusaders failed. They may fail, but they may also be a success. We don't know. Is there any great loss to the sport in Toronto being promoted? Does it shut Rochdale down or Swinton away?
Be honest, I do not understand any of the objections to Toronto. When you look at the attendances this weekend, the highest attendance, even higher than Wigan, was in Toronto. As a sport, 3 years before there was a club there, and bearing in mind that for at least 2 of those years they were so superior to the other teams that they played that it wasn't competitive. To have built a fan base, I mean, I like studying reaction to things. The Toronto media really got behind, Toronto Star and big features about what this means. The other teams in Toronto, because Toronto is the 4th biggest city in North America. All the other teams tweeted their good luck to the Wolfpack before they played. That amounted to something like 10 million viewers. And what they can bring is something the sport doesn't have. Why should we not embrace that? I genuinely do not understand what the objections are to Toronto. And if you say to me, we're going to get people coming and going, they don't bring any fans. If you come and say there's no Canadians that are in their team, they're not viable arguments. You know, Catalan haven't bought any fans, in inverted commas, since 2006, but why would you expect them to? They have to play 14 games away from home. We get the chance to maybe go to Toronto or Catalan once. You know, in terms of they don't have any Canadian players playing for them, Canadian players don't really play rugby league. Melbourne Storm, it took 15 years to get someone from Melbourne to come through and play for the Storm. I don't know a lot about who plays for football teams at the moment, but I'll just take a guess, and happy to be wrong, that if you support a team like Arsenal, the bulk of the guys you cheer every week are not Englishmen.
Well, the only reason Chelsea are playing young English talent at the moment is they can't sign foreigners.
So I don't get what a single objection is to Toronto, other than they clearly have had some issues with paying some bills on time. But I would point you back to Bradford, that we're bending over backwards to keep a club going that is a traditional club, who have got a record over the last 7 years of clearly not paying their bills. So, you know, fine, maybe put up a bond from Toronto of £500,000, and if halfway through next season there's a couple of people that want to contest monies that they're owed, there is some money being held in a deposit account by the governing body. All of this can be overcome, but what we don't have at the moment are new markets, and we desperately, desperately need it. And the other thing about Toronto is, even though Brian Noble has said 90% of the players next year will be the bulk of the guys that played this year, that 10% could be a game changer. They are after people like Sonny Bill Williams. They are after some England Rugby Union players who they reckon might be a stage of their career that will start. They are into PR, and the one thing that we haven't got is a presence, a media presence. You again look at some of the column inches that were devoted to Toronto in national newspapers here over the weekend. There is a big story there, and I'm not sure we can turn that down.
The finance thing is a mystery, isn't it? Because we keep hearing about these unpaid bills or whatever. But yet the players all seem to get paid, because otherwise they would kick off about it. And we if a player wasn't being paid, we would know, because those stories get out.
There is a big press conference in Manchester tomorrow, I believe, with Brian Noble as part of it, where the Wolfpack will outline some of the commercial partners that they're bringing on board now that they are in Super League. And whilst they're not necessarily game changers, they are people that don't currently invest in our sport. How can that be a bad thing? If they want to take games on the road early in the year, you know, if they want to go to Barcelona to play in February, they want to do their pre-season in Florida and maybe play a game there if the weather's good enough. They want to go to, you know, it might be pie in the sky. They're talking about maybe doing a double header with another Super League game. You know, they're going to be at Magic Weekend. You know, Toronto on the fixture list at Magic Weekend changes slightly the dynamic of Magic.
They can wear the Newcastle United stripes.
I don't get what the objections are. I'll be perfectly
honest.
Well,
Noel's been on. Paul Wakey, Castle and Salford are definitely kicked out at the expense of Toronto and the other big boys. You must look after the roots of rugby league, not destroy them.
The only thing that's happened is we bought back promotion and relegation, and London, who I think we can make a case for as being strategically important to the sport, have lost their place to Toronto. Not Wakefield, everyone else that's on this list. They are in self-determination. They get £2 million from the governing body that pays for a salary cap. Toronto don't get anything. So what Wakefield do and how they move forward as a club, what Castleford do, it's solely down to them.
It is on how some people think it's an embarrassment to the sport, whether they've got no Canadians or whatever. What would be more embarrassing was be a club getting 1.8 million, £2 million or whatever in central funding and not being full-time in the top division, which was what was going to happen with Featherstone.
Absolutely.
As we understand. Obviously, Brian McDermott's upset people with his comments after the game. Probably, as these things are, his sentiment was right, his words perhaps. I was going to say his words were not what he wanted, but
no, I think he knew exactly what he was saying.
It's different to everyone else.
Did you see him? He was interviewed after the game.
What did he say?
And basically said how good having major cities at the top table for the sport is, and that if you solely rely on towns and villages, what will we be selling to broadcasters and sponsors in
right,
5 years' time.
Right, okay.
Which is a valid argument. He may be right, he may not be right, but it was a valid argument.
But my debate would that be, if McDermott wasn't involved in Toronto, would he be saying these things?
Well, to be fair to him, he was saying exactly the same when he was coach at London, when they had no resource, nobody cared about them.
Right.
He went from Leeds as not particularly an expansionist, but saw the work that was being done and the sacrifices that were being made, and basically at London said, we need a bit of help here. If you want us to be anything, you perhaps do need to help us with the salary cap. You do need to help us keep the young kids that we're developing. And I think he saw from working with very limited resource in London the potential the sport could be, but was never allowed to be. So I think when he's gone to Toronto and they've now got that potential, he wanted to say after the game, what we can bring is important.
Well, we were sure the home crowds anyway, at 10,000 people. It's not a bad achievement, is it? And I say, well, from my point of view, well done Toronto. I guess it was a year later than what they anticipated, because we all felt as though, they was going to beat London last year, but they didn't, and London did a great job this year. And many congratulations to them. They will need to strengthen, as they will know that. They've got Ryan Noble in there, and obviously McDermott from there, and they've got some quality players, but they will need to add on, if they are going to be, a bit of a force and consistent week in a week. I say consistent week in a week out. There's only been one side this year who's been consistent in St Helens, hasn't they, really, from there. But well done Toronto, and enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey, what you're going to be on.
Yeah, I also think that this is a very important time for the sport, that we're a year and a half away from a television deal. Now, not a single extra pound is probably going to be offered by Sky, because they're not going to get another dish put up in Toronto. But there might be broadcasters and corporate partners in a very different market where a lot of money, as far as we're concerned, is a tiny drop in the ocean as far as the money that's put into the MSL or the NBA. If we can tap into that over the next 18 months, it can only benefit the sport. And I go back, and we've said it before a number of times, you look at what York did over the last 2 years when they've had Toronto as a home game. They've marketed it not as, we need a load of people who support Toronto there, we need Canadian exiles, but we need people that want to come to an event. You talk about it all the time, which is why I know you're so pleased we're going back to Newcastle. Newcastle is an event.
Absolutely.
Magic at Newcastle. Well, if Toronto turning up in your back garden is not an event, I don't know what is. And that's nothing to do with how many fans they bring. That's when Castleford fans see the fixture list and they've got a home game against Toronto for the first time ever. Get down to the jungle. It's you've never seen it before. It's exciting.
The existence of Toronto does not stop Swinton, Oldham, Rochdale, Batley, Dewsbury, whoever existing.
They can only be the best they can be. And that's what they should be achieving.
We're too much sold on a dream that everyone can be the best, and they can't be the best. Everyone can't be in Super League.
Let's look at something else at the other end of the scale. The chairman of Hunslet has resigned. Now, at the moment, they're a supporters cooperative. They're perhaps looking at going back into private ownership. The board at Swinton has all but stepped down. 2 major people on the board of Rochdale have stepped down. Now, those are people that have put time, effort and money into all 3 of their clubs who can't go on for whatever reason. How do we replace that? If we accept that that is a challenge in the sport, do we sit back and just try and salvage what we've got, or do we say we need to help them, we need to find a competition that they will thrive in, but when it comes to getting more money, more resource, more profile in the sport, Toronto can't be a bad thing. I don't know. I mean, you still live in the Hunslet area. What impact does Hunslet Rugby League have on daily life of people in that part of Leeds?
If I'm honest with you, none.
Well, you said it before, that Hunslet Parkside is probably and Hunslet Warriors probably better run clubs and businesses than the semi-professional team. Should we be looking at that?
A better organisation, I'd say. And I've been to the Warriors a couple of times this year, and they're not far off getting better crowds than what the Prescott club does.
And they bring more players through. So should we be giving them central funding?
No, I'm not sure about that, to be honest with you. Not so sure about that.
But all of that needs looking at, rather than just saying, Toronto killed the game. I don't get it.
I do enjoy the people saying, I'm not going to buy a season ticket for their club because Toronto are in Super League. So, now, the problem with all these arguments is none of them have any logic whatsoever to them. and I can't really get on with things that don't have logic towards them, because that's the way my brain thinks. Like, oh, they've got no Canadians. Well, who cares?
But they've
They've
got 12,000 Canadian fans.
You would love your team to have 17 Leeds people running out and all love the badge or whatever, but you also want 17 people who are any good and win things. And if you had 17 people from Leeds who were crap and you got relegated, you'd be going, well, why haven't we got anyone who's any good in the team? It's the same at Wakefield. It's like going back to Hampshire, isn't it? Oh, he loves the club. Well, so what? Wait for him to sign at Toronto. Won't be signing for Bradford, will he? I've been to Toronto many times, says Andrea. The people are fantastic. The city is outstanding. If you've never been and you have the opportunity to go, it doesn't mean I want Toronto in Super League, because I don't, but they're in, so we get on with it. Why don't you want them in? But it's this whole argument, people are in tears because they can't go to Toronto, says the chief executive Fev last week.
Who got stuck in Iceland.
And what's that? We live in a global world. I know we're trying to make it smaller.
Fair, it's not as if you couldn't see the game. Apparently Featherstone put on a fantastic event at, I'm still going to call it Post Office Road. I apologise.
I think the thing's come up now, so you're allowed to call it that.
And it was absolutely brilliant that the community could sit there in the main stand on a big screen and watch the game. And sometimes at very short notice, that makes, I don't think anybody from Featherstone who was involved in that game felt that, from the coach to the players to the supporters that did get there to the ones that didn't, to the local radio coverage it got, I don't think anybody didn't think it was a major deal for Featherstone. The fact that they didn't win is neither here nor there.
Featherstone were just happy to be part of it, weren't they?
Absolutely.
They were happy to be part of that journey. Of course they were.
The Toronto Raptors, who've just won the NBA's championship, thanks to Buckshot Kid on YouTube for this, have no Canadians in their squad.
Well, they did have 2 million people on the streets when they won their championship, though.
So when they take the Super League trophy down the main street in Toronto, whatever that's called, Brian McDermott Avenue, obviously.
Well, with knowing the animosity between his current club and his previous club, his animosity, that Leeds Toronto fixture, whether it's in Toronto or at Headingley at the beginning of next season, it's going to be massive. People are going to want to be there. Why do we want to go to the grand final on Saturday? Because we've got someone to support. I'd love St Helens to win, because I think they've been brilliant all year and maybe they deserve to. But I am really excited by the prospect of Salford being part of the day. If Toronto come next year, why wouldn't you be excited? If you're invited to Headingley when Leeds play Toronto, it's something you've never experienced before. It's different, isn't it?
Here's Sean. They've bought their way in. I don't respect that. Welcome to professional sport in the year 2019.
What did Marwan Kukash try to do?
Yeah. Chelsea were Premier League also-rans, weren't they, under our previous employer?
Manchester City were in Division 3.
And then some money appeared. If some multi-millionaire sultan came in and bought Rochdale, and they ended up signing all the best players and won Super League 10 years in a row, would people have the same issue with Rochdale as they have with Toronto? I don't know.
So I do not get the objection. I think the sport is in a position at the moment where this is such a potentially good news story on the back of, we might well be establishing a new market and potential new sponsors and new television partners, that we cannot afford to turn this down. It is not affecting another club. Buying players happens in every single professional sport.
I was trying to work out who Graham's calling a patronising git. It might be you, Phil, I can't remember.
Probably.
Did you say just happy to be part of it? I can't remember who said that. It might be me.
I don't think I did. But
Denise says, Gary, you're quiet. Let loose your true things about Toronto.
Stage is yours.
Well, then they're here. They're on
you don't care, do you?
No, I'm not bothered. To be honest, I'm not bothered, and they're here. They get home crowds of 9,000. Right, they won't bring anybody from there, but listen, they're in. And what I will say is that they're going to need to buy some more quality players to make sure that they're competitive week in and week out. But as far as being in Super League, it doesn't really bother me, to be honest with you.
Have you changed your opinion? Because I wouldn't say you were anti-expansionist when we started talking about this, when they came into the competition. Have you slightly changed your view on what a team like Toronto can bring to
If I'm honest with you, no.
Right.
No. If I'm honest, no, I've not.
Because I think the other thing that gets lost in all this debate is they've taken nothing out of the game. So we've just had a debate about Bradford, and they've already had all their money forwarded for next year, and it's gone. Yeah. Whereas Toronto have agreed not to take any money for next year.
What have they spent it on?
No, but surely the people that don't want Toronto in, they must see that anomaly. They paid for every team to go out there. They've not taken any central funding. They're trying to grow their own business, and yet we're saying, we must look after traditional clubs who can't look after themselves.
Correct, absolutely.
Alan says we all want the end of looping. We do. No one likes loop fixtures.
We absolutely do.
Where's old Bob? Where's he going to come and tell us what's happening next year? Can't wait. Don't forget, 25% off Samoa merchandise. Use the promo code Happy Birthday MB. I know you can't quite see it on Facebook because I've moved the camera off on it, but it's there. Happy Birthday MB. Easy enough for you to spell this week. Mascotbrowns.com until midnight tonight. Loads of people tuned in for some reason a few months ago. They've all disappeared on Facebook. I don't know, must have said something. Before we get on, because we haven't spoken about the women's semi-finals yet, which we need to do because they were...
Or the NRL Grand Final.
Or the NRL. We've still got half an hour. We've only got 2 games to predict this week. It's going to be quick predictions. I'm sure there's something else I was going to mention there, but I can't for the life of me now remember what it was. Probably about Toronto, but anyway, they're in. So we'll talk more about that tomorrow, no doubt, in Castleford, when you can come and ask us some questions. I can't wait for all these clubs, by the way, with the extra money they're going to get because Toronto are taking their money to spend it wisely and not on crap Aussies, so that'll be good. We don't know how they're going to play games. John's asked, I heard somewhere they're going to play 2 there, 2 here, but I don't know. Nothing's been confirmed.
We don't think they're going to play any games in Toronto until April. So that means all of their Challenge Cup games will be away from home, and they'll be playing at neutral venues for the early part of the season, and then they're in the same fixture list as every club. Graham's
a Fev fan. It was when we said they were happy to be there in the £1 million game. I don't know.
Well, you know the people at Featherstone, you know Mark Campbell. Were they happy to be in the £1 million game?
Oh, without a doubt. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Did that give them the finance to secure them for next year?
Well, again, and also as well, just the hard work, what Mark and his team are doing from there, but again, he'll be getting people interested in Featherstone from there who may not have been, for a season or 2 or maybe longer, and try and get them back there, try and get them more support, more sponsorship, and give them the opportunity of maybe, hopefully, taking that next step.
Well, there's nothing to say with Toronto not in that league, which is not to underestimate London. They might be next cab off the rank to be promoted.
Absolutely. And we all know how competitive that championship is. From there, and look how well York have done this year. So there's at least 5 or 6 sides who will be looking for promotion next year.
What we want.
Without a doubt, including Bradford, who was skint.
Tim's about Toronto says it sorts out the dreamers from the realists. Phil very much a dreamer, not as much as the dreamer of the as Ralph going to Sky saying, "Go on, show us some championship games next year." Those viewing figures mean.
But
nothing.
Why am I a dreamer? What is it that is so objectionable about Toronto? Give me one really good reason why it's bad for the sport for them to be in. It's nothing about being a dreamer. They're in. It's what they can bring.
Well, I'll tell you what the first one, Phil, will be. They're not bringing any supporters. What home attendance do they get? Every Super League club will be delighted with the home attendance what Toronto will get.
I think we could name a couple of Super League clubs that don't take money fans to get to matches.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling. Quick question on Kieran Purtle, left witness to go to Hull. Someone was upsetting the papers in the letters page today. If you were in the same position as him, Schoey, would you have left witness to take on a job on Hull's coaching staff?
And I got down that M62 to figure what I could do. Simple as that, we all know what mess Wiggins have been in. We all know that, he signed a new contract, I'm led to believe, 2 months ago. So what? If things didn't work out for Purtle, he would have got the blame and he would have got the sack himself, So no, he's bettered himself. Hull are ambitious, we know the signings what they've made there. He's gone there as so-called reserve team coach, but I would imagine he'll be helping runners out very, very much. He's been a great assistant when he's been at the big clubs. So, yeah, a good signing for Hull from there, and hopefully, with his input, they may change the style of play because it is a little bit, at times, ineffective. It's too easy to defend against. And if Hull are going to compete for the top 5 and they are going to compete for the Super League title, they need to change the philosophy how they want to play, and hopefully Purtle will be part of that.
Excellent, exciting news from the world of Rugby League last week. Luke Gale was signed for Leeds. Who knew?
Apart from everybody?
Apart from everyone.
I think it's had mixed feelings, Phil, hasn't it, to be honest with you? The Leeds fans who I've spoken to, they all said, well, it'll be a good signing, but is he fit? But we've said it now a few times. he would have gone through the most serious, strenuous medical examination because, Leeds aren't stupid. From a point of view, from a professional situation from there, they would have had the best in the business to making sure that knee's been checked out, that Achilles is checked out, and they would have made sure all the reports have got from the Castleford medical side from there. So that would have been literally not 100%, 1,000% to making sure that he's going to be okay. And if he is all right, the kid himself has said he's only 31. He feels like a 25-year-old because he's been missing for the last 2 years. As I've mentioned, he's unfinished business. Leeds is his club. He's said it himself that he's coming there to hopefully not just enjoy the challenge, because when we're sure pressure's going to be on him. I know what it's like being the halfback from there. We know what we've missed. That's for everybody to see from there. Mixed reaction, but the situation is, if his injuries are okay, he will be a massive asset to Leeds next year. And
I think the other thing that Richard Agar said when he was unveiled is he wants him to adopt a mentoring kind of role, because there are some good young kids. Callum McClelland has played really well for Featherstone in these playoffs, but he's not the finished article yet. Now, if he works all day, every day with Luke Gale alongside him, it's succession planning. So you can see why Leeds would go for someone who can make the young players around them better players.
Jill watched the medical on YouTube. I still have doubts, says Jill. It's a very dry video.
Oh, yeah, well, listen, they will be. Hey, listen, just because he's had the medical and, he's had the rehab or whatever you want to call it, it could go like that. Quite easily. Certainly the knee may not snap again or whatever, but the Achilles tendon can easily snap.
Well, that happened to Keith Galloway, didn't it?
Don't worry about that. My ex-teammate of mine, Kevin James at Hull, he was exactly the same. Good night, God bless, and see you later. Oh, yeah.
If you were the board at Leeds, would you have taken a risk on him when you knew he was available?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course I would, because, we've signed Robert Louis, and we know what Robert Louis has brought, but again, it's having that balance where Luke will be the main organiser, but again, as a standoff, he can play wider away from the ruck area, Robert Louis from there, he can plot, and then he can decide when to come into the game, out of the game, and share that responsibility. And so it's a good combination.
You've got two people that have both got a very different kicking game as
Absolutely.
Well, which gives you more options.
Good variation from there, and as I say, they can take pressure off each other. Luke will be the main man, don't worry about that. Yep. But when it's time to just have a sit back from Luke, Louis will take over, and it's the right balance.
I also think that it doesn't do Castleford any harm. Because they get an amount of money to reshape their team however they want to do it, and obviously we all know the rumours as to who.
Well, Richardson's going there by all accounts, isn't he? So
it's exciting, isn't it? If you've got Richardson and Truman, two of the great young talents of the game, that gives them a different attacking. The one thing Cass didn't have towards the end of the season was an attack.
I tell you what,
you get those two players playing, you've got variation.
We look at the H-bombs in Hepworth and Hardesty. Can Richardson and Truman be the new H-bombs?
Why not?
The Cass fans will be like that. Schoey, have you been on the syrup? Have you been on the syrup? Richardson and Truman, the new H-bombs?
10 years. They could be the combination for 10 years.
Without that. Well, and I said Truman, as I said before, he's a quality number 6, but again, he can't get tied up around that ruck area. He needs to be playing from there. He needs to be plotting 25, 30 metres away from the ruck area. So then Richardson, now, he's been part of it now for 2 years. So what Richardson's got to do, he's got to grow some crystals, right? He's got to grow some crystals from the point of view, right? I'm going to be the main man, and Truman said, yeah, okay, you be from there, but balance there. But so what Richardson now, he's got to grow some crystals, take the responsibility, but to play what he wants to be, not what anybody else wants him to be, what he wants to be, because
which is exactly what Justin Holbrook did with Johnny Lomax.
Exactly.
So I don't need you to be everybody else.
Yeah.
I need you to be the best you can be.
Best you can be.
So if you go out and do the best you can do, and look how he's played this year.
And if he runs with the ball more in hand rather than just waiting back for the fifth tackle from there, it could be an ideal combination for Cass.
What a super Sunday of rugby league it was. Started off with all the other stuff before the NRL Grand Final, but we haven't got the app, so we didn't watch that. But we did watch.
I did.
You watched it all?
Couldn't wait.
Fills up early.
Schoey watched it.
Has you got the app?
No, it's on Sky.
What?
No, but the games before.
The game. No, the women's game and the stage at time. No, we saw the tries on.
But as Leeds United fans will tell you, they had to play against 12 men against Millwall on Saturday, and obviously Canberra fans and everyone on social media will tell you that they had to play against 19 men of the Sydney Roosters, who go back to back, because not only have they got 17 men, but they've also got 2 referees on their side. Forget the fact that Canberra have got all their trainers on the pitch all the time thinking they're Gary Mercer and his pomp. Isn't the stark reality, though, that over the 80 minutes, and especially over that period in the second half where they had plenty of ball in hand, and I haven't watched the game in full, I was working entirely on a screen in the studio, and it's hard to concentrate when you're trying to introduce Indian horse racing. But isn't the key that, and there'll be a funnier story later, not promising, isn't the key that they had plenty of chances, well, they had plenty of ball in hand, but didn't take enough opportunities?
Well, again, no, but I think what the Roosters, everybody keeps telling me, defence wins your games. Defence doesn't win your games. Defence keeps you in games. If you don't score more points than the opposition, then you don't win. And that's a simple fact with Canberra from there. And the possession what they had, the pressure what they had, and the sense of the number 4, you can pronounce his name, can't you? Leilua. Really, and Phil Gould is quite, well, to be honest with you, it's what you teach an 89-year-old. You catch and pass. You got the numbers to get, but he tried to be a little bit clever. He went into contact and he tried to give the impossible pass, which went forward from there. But yeah, they had enough opportunity, enough pressure, but you've got to take it to the Roosters. Certainly from a defensive point of view, great communication, great desire from there. But in the end, it was class that told, and that's exactly what the Roosters had. And we all know what happened with this 6 again tackle, and it wasn't the 6 again from there. But it was the sheer quality of the standoff, seeing it on the blind side from there, Cleary, and then Latrell, Mitchell. But then the big winger. Tupu. The great thing what Tupu did, right? The great thing what Tupu did, and this is a bit of advice to everybody out there. When you make a clear break, it was quite simple what Tupu did, and I thought to myself, yeah, you know what? You're doing exactly what you should be doing. You slowed down, waiting for Tedesco to get to you, because if Tupu would have gone 1,000 miles an hour and tried to do it himself from there, Tedesco wouldn't have got there. It was sheer quality from Tupu. So this is to everybody out there in rugby league. If you make a clear break and you're waiting for your teammate, you slow down, because they will get to you. He knew exactly what he was doing. The 2-on-1 was going to be created. Tupu slowed down. Tedesco got there. Simple pass. The 4-pointer turned into 6, and they deserved it. But in the end, it was just that sheer class, that extra sheer class, what the Roosters had, and fully deserved it. And it's the first time, what, for 20?
92, 93.
92, 93, since anybody's gone back-to-back. Quality, and in the end, they deserved it.
It was a brutal game. It was Origin standard. It was a sellout, which is fantastic. You don't get many chances in a game like that. So the ones that you get, you have to take. And for me, it wasn't that call. It was the fact that Roosters had to deal with the sin binning midway through the second half.
Shouldn't you have been in the sin bin?
No, it probably. Again, if you're a Roosters fan, you could say absolutely a penalty, but how can that possibly be?
Yeah, but what were Crunk supposed to do?
Well, exactly. There's not huge papali coming through.
What was it supposed to do?
At the same time as the ball.
Were you supposed to take play touch and pass, just take him and let go of the trial?
But for the Roosters to keep their line intact for that 10 minutes, that's how they won the game. Then Canberra had been brilliant all year, nilled 3 teams. The first try they conceded was a young kid dumbing out a dummy half.
Say what the fan one again, the Aussies, another quality number 9 out.
But again, Canberra haven't conceded those tries. It was early in the game, and they didn't stick to what they've been so good at.
But the fan one, haven't they? How good was he?
Well,
what was it? Ferrelli?
Verrills.
Verrills. How good was he?
Well, how good is Cameron Murray? Because when he came back on, again, just tightened everything up.
And also, the loose forward for the Roosters.
Yeah, well, not Boyd Cordner, the captain.
Not Boyd Cordner, no, the loose forward for the Roosters. Oh, Jesus. Doesn't he put his body on the line?
They're all... Victor the Inflictor. Radley.
Yeah. Gee, boy, oh boy, how nuts is he?
But it came down to one centre who couldn't execute and one centre who could.
Yeah. But again...
So it's nothing to do with the back
But again, Phil, the winging himself, Tupu...
Yeah.
Sensational.
And the other thing about the back to 6 tackle is the Roosters still had to go the length of the field.
Yeah, of course it is.
So to fashion that score at that time...
Cleary playing the numbers game from their brilliant hands, skill, class, everything what rugby league's all about. Creativity, support play, get the 4 points.
And Canberra will be better for the experience.
Of course it will.
And I thought Ricky Stewart was monumental afterwards, refused to even talk about anything other than the Roosters.
I'll tell you what, when he got back to Canberra, I bet he's...
Later in the week, he's giving a big interview.
I bet you in Queanbeyan, in the least coming in
the cat.
And in the pubs down Queanbeyan, I can tell you, Ricky he would have booted every door in, don't worry about that.
So the question is, and I know that you want to talk about the women's... where does George Williams fit in at Canberra next year?
It's an interesting one, isn't it?
Because Aidan Caesar played really well, and obviously Whiten was the man of the match.
Whiten, they say, and also so the record's going to be picked. Oh, Australia playing anyway. He's going to get picked for Australia. Oh, they played.
The young Australia are playing France. then they're playing in the nines, and then they're playing one test against New Zealand.
Oh, are they? All right,
Yeah.
See, I didn't think...
Well, Tonga might not play. We could play them as well.
Well, it'd be nice.
Right, I didn't know. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, but the record's going to be picked for the Aussies from there. So, yeah, where is George going to fit in from there? You know? Have
they got a dual reg team?
It's an interesting one for him because... Well,
And just in terms of the style that he plays, will he enhance what they've already got? Or
I'm not so sure.
I don't know.
I'm not so sure, to be honest with you. So, but, hey, listen, Ricky Stewart's, he was a quality smart player in 10. Well, Ricky, do you know Ricky Stewart? You know what? He kicked the ball the highest I've ever seen a rugby league player kick a ball. And when you talk about kicking the ball, it was a spiral.
What about Mal's try in 1990 that he set up?
Phil, don't make me strangle you.
No, but last minute of a test match.
What are you reminding me for?
Nothing on.
We won in the Ashes.
Well,
hold on, Phil.
It was a foul.
Phil.
Because clearly Mal Meninga threw Carl Gibson.
Phil, nothing on. Phil, nothing on. There wasn't anything on.
No.
It wasn't any creativity. It was Lee Jackson. Was Lee Jackson who I would have literally... No, not me, but everybody who have played with Lee Jackson would have put the mortgage on. If you would have said to somebody, Lee Jackson will not take a dummy, or which player you got, Lee Jackson will never ever take a dummy. He will tackle anything that's got a heartbeat. He will tackle. Who the bloody hell took a dummy off Ricky Stewart? Lee Jackson, and the rest is history. So, Phil, don't upset me, please.
Sorry.
Don't upset me.
Sorry.
Don't upset me.
Watch it on YouTube.
I'm just playing the role of Joel Kane here and goes, don't gamble your mortgage away. Please gamble responsibly.
Oh,
don't
honestly.
put it in the end.
But that was Ricky, wasn't it?
Oh,
the ultimate competitor down to the
ultimate competitor. It was a great dummy. But again, what Ricky did, he slowed down and waited for the support. And as we all know, Mal pushed everybody away. Yeah. And it was the same in the World Cup final in '92. John Devereux. Again, one thing you don't do in rugby league, right? If somebody has got a bit of pace and has got a nice fend, show him the bloody outside. What did John Devereux do?
Shot up.
Steve ran off, showed him the outside. Steve ran off, went, big see you later. Yeah. Straight in the corner, and Big Mel kicked the goal from the sideline. We got beat 10-6.
I would say, because people blame the refs too quickly for everything, even though the refs apparently got the decision right, of course. So if they'd have kept with the wrong decision and Canberra had scored, what would people have done? What do you think people would have done? Do you think the people who said, I can't believe that Canberra have been robbed, but they've gone, I can't believe Sydney Roosters have been robbed.
But do you know that decision when it hit the trainer? Yeah. How did he get it was Roosters head and feet when it came?
Because they were the attacking team.
It's like if it hits the ref, isn't it? I guess.
Well, they weren't attacking; they were getting rid of the ball, weren't they?
It was a charge down kick, which is not an attacking play.
Also, they're saying that the trainer charged it down.
No, the player charged it into the trainer. So
did he?
Roosters were attacking.
So the Canberra player hit the ball first.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what they're saying? He did to me because. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Does Ryan Hall
the Roosters are the champions in 2019 and nobody can take that away from them.
Big question from Craig, does Ryan Hall get a winner's ring?
If they deem he's played enough rugby to deserve it.
How many games has he played this year, Ryan?
Not sure, I think it's
That's
3 or 4.
But
he was in the 21, so he may well.
Yeah.
I was going to say, people are quick to blame referees, they don't blame players, but Schoey does. He chucked 2 of his teammates under the bus there.
Oh, yeah, Richie, I'm not throwing him under the bus. I'll tell you what, I've not just thrown him. I've driven him over. Don't worry about it. Hey, listen, mate, Richie, right? As everybody knows, I didn't win anything nothing major in my career. No. I won the Yorkshire Cup, right? That would have been, we'd have won the Ashes for the first time since 1970, Rich. And then also as well, Australia never looked like scoring a try. We'd have won the bloody World Cup in 1992. It wasn't John Devereux showing him the outside. So, don't be saying, throwing teammates under the bus. I'll drive the bloody bus and get over them, don't worry about that.
No, my issue is with the referee bashing, and I'd say this over and over again. It's not you can't criticise referees, but it's blaming them for one, everything, and B, the people who will blame referees but will not blame players for making the same mistakes.
We all know this year, right, and if we're honest, Robert Hicks has been the best referee all season, yes or no?
Yes.
He has. Robert Hicks now will not get the grand final because of what happened at Wembley and because of what Mr McManus, the St Helens chairman, has said. Whether it's right or wrong, Robert Hicks has been the best all season, but he will not be refereeing on Saturday, and he should be, yes or no?
Absolutely, 100%.
Because of what he did at the Wembley final, but because of influence, he will not be refereeing. Well, I'll be very surprised if he's refereeing, won't you?
I would, although I did think Ben Taylor refereed really well.
He's been outstanding, but overall, though, Phil, Robert Hicks...
No, you're right.
He's been the best referee all season, and he won't get the big gig, will he?
Well, he might get video ref, which would be quite ironic.
He won't be giving a video referee at all.
No.
Not a chance. Not a chance. Mr. McManus will be making sure Robert Hicks is not coming anywhere in Old Trafford within a 50. Where does he live, Hicks? Does he live in Leeds?
Oldham.
He lives in Oldham. Well, that's just a 20-mile radius then.
No VIP hospitality for us.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
It was your Wikipedia page in which I read this great fact on. You won't know what Wikipedia is.
Whose Wikipedia page?
Yours.
Have I got one, have I?
Yeah, of course you have. Of course you have. It says the Tigers won the National Panasonic Cup, Scorfield's only major winners' medal at club level, not including the 1988 Yorkshire Cup he won at Leeds. That's on you.
The Panasonic Cup.
Yeah. Second season, yeah.
That was quite a prestigious.
Big competition.
Yeah.
So
Who'd you beat in the final?
Parramatta, I think. Parramatta.
It's a good win.
Yeah, the Panasonic Cup. Yeah. I can remember we played semi-final, we played Western Suburbs of Crooksey, we played.
That'd be because they're the two clubs that moved.
Crooksey were playing for Western Suburbs. It was at Leichhardt Oval actually, and I wasn't a dirty player, but I thought I'm having some of him. Anyway, I think it was PSC Kerry Hemsley tackled him, and I came in, grabbed some mud and just poured it in it, just flipped it all in his face, and he knew who did it, and I laid it back. So I called him a few names, and I can reassure you, the words what he said to me were quite simple. If I get hold of you so-and-so, I'm going to rip your head off. And I said to him, you can't do that, Lee. We're teammates at home. We're teammates 12,000 miles away. He chased me all that night. He never got me. But anyway, that's me being smart, you see.
Absolutely.
Playing with vision and awareness in defence. Vision and awareness in defence, upsetting people.
Was it 85 or 87 you won it?
It might have been I don't know. One of these.
Well,
no, it must have been 85.
85, you beat Cronulla.
85 because, 84.
14,
Cronulla was it? Yeah, 40, pretty close because 87 we had Billy Anderson who was the coach. He was typical school teacher rubbish.
Great seeing Wayne Pearce on the podium.
Oh yeah, but junior. Yeah.
Looked well, didn't it?
Yeah, well, it always does, doesn't it? Well, it was Wayne Pearce. Changed the falsity of the game, wasn't it? The Aussies, and believe this or not, it was a myth. The Australians were all full-time professionals. No, it wasn't. No, it was just because Wayne Pearce, who decided they were based at Dragon Hotel, he wanted to do all the running, didn't go on the team bus. Everybody went, they're all full-time, they're all super athletes. But when I went to play with Balmain in '85, they were all joiners, they were all bricklayers, they were all draymen, they were all working at Leeds clubs. And I'm thinking to myself,
who were these supermen?
Who are these so-called supermen, super fit? All slinging cans of Tuies down, some of them having a fag and what have you. I'm thinking, what a myth. What a myth. And if it wasn't for them 82 Kangaroos, we'd still be doing the same.
Absolutely.
We'd still be doing the same. We'd be having the Monday clubs. We'd be having Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday morning training. Wayne Pearce and the Kangaroos have just changed it totally to spoil it all.
If you hadn't have scored that try against the Western Suburbs in the semi-final, Balmain would never have won that trophy. So yes.
Oh, did I score in the semi-final?
According to this, you did.
Did I? I can't remember. Well, Lee Crooks. I told you I got the best of Crooksy.
He kicked
If
the
he's
goal.
listening to the show, Crooksy now will go, right, you wait till I see him. I'm with him on Saturday, actually.
He might have to have a word with
If I see him on Saturday, he says, he'll give me that crack for, 30 years ago.
Going off on a tangent, but I don't mind, because we like talking about the old days. Habs has asked, how good was Gary Jack?
Oh, sensational. Absolutely sensational. When you talk about a fullback who would put his body on the line. But the great thing with Jimmy was simple. His positional play was brilliant. When somebody made a break and they were literally looking to go on the outside of Jimmy, they might have got 5 or 6 yards and he had a cut down. His positional play was sensational. Yeah.
Good for Salford as well. And he sent a message.
Yeah, he sent a good message as well, didn't he? Yeah. Sensational, Gary Jack.
Played for Sheffield in the 1992 Yorkshire Cup final, the last official Yorkshire Cup final.
There you go.
Well, that time,
when's that coming back?
When I remember that Balmain, because we had the Australian coach Frank Stanton, sensational. He was brilliant for me. Well, cranky Frankie, but I tell you what, it's a good job Frank's not coaching nowadays, because I can even though at times we won most of our game, he could fire into us. And even at the Leeds club, we'd have a few beers down in Frank and just literally rip into us. But the great thing about Frank was his man management would be on a Tuesday night, he'd be like apologetic and putting his arm around you and loving you. But and then you're thinking, hold on, what, Sunday night? You were calling me this, you were calling me that, you were saying with this, I was saying with that. What's the difference? But again, that is
you respecting him.
Yeah, respect. But that again is from a point of view, a coach saying, I'll see how he responds. Even though it's like Brian Clough now.
Yeah.
I'll see, even though he's playing well, I'll see how he responds to a little bit. To a little bit of I'll see what character he's got. Brilliant at that with Frank Stanton. Love playing for him.
Connie's not happy. He is a Widnes fan. Gary said Widnes will be the first to sack Perth if things weren't wrong. They didn't give him another contract on the back of a shambolic season. Wembley was a disgrace. Good riddance to him. I'm not sure it was all his fault where they were this season.
I'd say everybody's entitled to opinion, and that's what the Wigan's people are thinking from there. So yeah, everybody will have different opinions, but the main reason Purtell's gone is that Hull are in a far better position than what Widnes are, and no disrespect to Widnes, but he's betting himself at a better club. Simple as that.
It is that time.
Are you going to do the women's?
Well, we'll stick it all together, won't we? We'll stick it all together in terms of the preview.
I'm sorry, we've
I know.
Gone off.
But
didn't think we'd have anything to talk about.
What are we going to talk about next week? And there's only 2 games to talk about.
We'll find something.
Who was the only one who predicted correctly the women's grand final? It was Gary Schofield, who just picked the 2 Yorkshire teams, and he was right because Castleford beat Wigan as everyone expected, and Leeds. You can't write off the Leeds Rhinos.
It was never in doubt.
Well, you know what? You're right, aren't you? Was it 14-0 down, 14-4 down? Leeds, last minute, big games. Courtney Hill, kick through. Abby Eatock from the army scores the try.
Hannah Butcher was the link. It was a brilliant try to win a game. Just last minute of a game to find something like that was just astonishing.
I know, here's David moaning, saying, brilliant, saved under 5 minutes for the ladies' game. Phil says we should grow it. This was a good opportunity for you to do just that. I think over the past 18 months, we have done enough on this programme to not justify that criticism. I'm sorry, David. You go look at all these other podcasts out there, and I'm thinking of one in particular who sent a press release out at the start of the season saying how great their coverage of the women's game was because they did one podcast and they've done nothing since. So I'm not having that, David. I'm sorry. I know we've got late into the programme to talk about it. I'm not sure there is actually much we can talk about the games that have been, other than to say St Helens are ridiculously unlucky.
Leeds game, and irrespective of who you support, it was as good a standard of game as I've seen this year.
If you look on social media last week, I put out that clip of the Katie Hepworth interception try for Fev against Wakefield, which is, I think, got 3,500 views on Facebook, which is great. Betfred tweeting out a clip yesterday of one of the cast players smashing someone. That's had over 5,000 people watch.
Courtney Hill's interview with the woman of steel.
She speaks so well. And that's what you need.
The fact that Sky did a programme on the women's game last week as part of their series on women's sport, the fact that the women's final is on Sky on Friday night, have a decent commentator as well. No, it's been brilliant. It's been absolutely brilliant. The only issue is, are we having the grand final at the right venue?
It was in the right place in the first place, but because International Rugby League's a mess, it had to be moved, sadly. Sunday afternoon at Headingley would have been...
I understand why it can't be Sunday. Yeah. That was the issue, because the women are flying off on Saturday for their World Nines and tour to PNG. But I still think that final should have been at Castleford. That they won the League Leaders' Shield, that there would have been if you'd have had that on Friday night against Leeds, you'd have had at least 5,000 people there. They got 1,500 yesterday for their semi-final against Wigan. I think there's things called buses. You can get on them after a game that finishes at maybe 10 o'clock and still be at Manchester Airport in time to fly out. I think we've missed a golden opportunity. We did that with the Challenge Cup final the first one between Leeds and Cass, which the RFL insisted needed to be played at Warrington to help generate interest in a women's team in Warrington. There was nobody there. Whatever they say, the only people that were there were friends and family of the two competing teams. Now, the fact that Warrington now have a team a year and a half later, brilliant. But that game on Friday night should have been at Castleford.
I don't like being criticised when what we have done outweighs the fact that we're only talking about it at the end of the programme.
It was a magnificent game yesterday. I enjoyed every second of it. And St Helens were the equal of Leeds, and their hearts were broken with... We talked about the play that the Roosters came up with. It was as good as that. It was virtually the last play of the game, and they had to come up with something. It was 14-all at the time. Leeds had dragged themselves back from 14 points down, and a chip and chase that you would have been proud of. Courtney Hill caught the ball, shipped it onto a standoff who released the winger. You couldn't wish for a better piece of skill to win a game. We didn't see the Wigan Cass game other than the tries, but that seemed to be Cass a bit of a step above Wigan. And I think, is it Gemma Walsh has announced that she's leaving Wigan, which again is a bit of a blow for them next year. She hasn't said she's retired, so could well be that she's moving clubs.
I should really know these things, shouldn't I? But obviously people.
But the women's game gets a magnificent grand final with a fantastic narrative between two teams that have a real rivalry that would have had anyway, but we've had 2 Challenge Cup finals between them that have gone right to the wire. Can't wait.
Without taking away anything from the top 3 teams this season, obviously something didn't work out this year at Wigan.
No.
To go from being champions to...
Well, I think Amanda Wilkinson having to give up the coaching didn't help.
But Cass are in the final. They will play Leeds. Cass, who won the League Leaders' Shield, finished 1 point ahead of Saints in the end, taking on the team that beat them in the Challenge Cup final at Bolton. It's time to make those predictions. First of all, Leeds Rhinos legend. Leeds legend, not Rhinos. Go Schofield.
Well, it's simple, isn't it? I've got to go for Leeds. I'm not going for Cass, even though we're there tomorrow night. No, I'm going for the Leeds ladies, and they want to do the double, and I think they will do the double. So yeah, I'm going for the Leeds ladies, and I think the Leeds ladies will win by 10.
10.
Yeah.
They missed out in the grand final last year with a penalty to Wigan in the last minute, which I think still rankles a little bit with them, because on that day, for the bulk of the game, they were the better side. I just think that Cass are itching for this game. There is so much unfinished business with this Castleford team who have been...
Just because we're going to Cass tomorrow, Mr. Kaplan, don't you be bottling out some.
But this Leeds team doesn't know when it's beat.
Correct.
We saw it again yesterday. 14-0 down without one of their best players playing, Daniel Anderson, and you just thought, they can't turn this around. And you sat there when the hooter went, they did? I don't know how they did it. Maybe they just have too much big game experience. If they win it, it's Leeds by 2.
Dealing logic, and logic suggests that Castleford win this game because they have been the best team I've seen this year. Although having said that, I wasn't surprised when Saints beat them a couple of weeks ago, and Saints can count themselves very unlucky that they haven't come away with at least an appearance in one final this year, let alone 2. Leeds are Leeds. And for whatever happens, for whatever reason, they get these big games won. They've played 3 times this year. Cass have won the 2 games in the Super League. Leeds won the Challenge Cup final. Leeds won the one that mattered. I'm not going to go with Leeds, not because you two haven't. You two have, rather. Because by all rights, Castleford should win this grand final. But it would not surprise me whatsoever. It's like hedging your bets just in case someone watches. If Leeds went on and won. The fact that they've tipped against Leeds on both occasions, and they've been in a final or a semi-final this year, and they have gone on to win, probably says more about what I know. I'm going to go Castleford. I think it will be close. Maybe golden points. I did say to someone the other day, get practicing your drop goals. Castleford by 1.
If you can't get to St Helens on Friday night, please watch it on Sky.
What if there's a massive audience on the telly? Will people be saying we should put Women's Super League on telly and not the Championship?
Now, I have no problem with putting Women's Super League on telly with some of the games I've seen this year.
So that's the Women's Grand Final on Friday. Saturday night, Old Trafford, the Theatre of Dreams. St Helens, 16 points clear at the top of the Super League table come the end of the season. Take on surprise package, everyone's favourites, the Salford Red Devils.
Well, to be honest with you, the Salford fans were giving me a bit of stick last night from a point of view. I said, listen to the show tomorrow. Listen to the show tomorrow. Right then. St Helens, easily the best side. Easily the best side. The performance against Wigan was sensational 2 weeks ago. They're not talking about pressure. They're not talking about winning trophies. They're not putting extra pressure on themselves. From 1 to 17 against that Wigan performance, it was a 9 out of 10 from everybody.
There's a book coming.
Justin Holbrook's last game. Everything's in Saints' favour, isn't it? Everything is in St Helens' favour. But Phil, you've just said that word, but Salford are enjoying this journey. This journey on Saturday night at 6 o'clock. And on this journey, the terminus is Old Trafford Saturday night. These players want to create history. These players want to create a legacy. at this great club in Salford. They want to be up there with Di Watkins and Keith Fielding and Colin Dixon and the likes. Their expression, what they've got that smile on their face. You know what? Salford are looking forward to this. Salford are so much looking forward to this, and Salford are going to win on Saturday. Salford are going to win. The confrontations, the personal battles, they're all there for everybody to see. But the confidence what they're playing with, that self-belief, is going to happen on Saturday for Salford. It's going to happen. I think we're in for a great game. I'm hoping the rain, if it doesn't stay away, I'm hoping it's not too heavy. Pressure's on Saints. Salford are ripping. Salford will just prove that Saints are human again under pressure. Salford fans, I told you, listen to the show. The legend's predicting you winning the grand final on Saturday. Come what time do they kick off? 6 o'clock?
About 8.
Come 8 o'clock. You celebrate being the grand final winning in 2019. Salford by 7.
It's a hell of a story, if that happens. I also think it's a fairly long time since we've had a really outstanding grand final. It's been pretty dour the last few years. It's been attritional rather than entertaining. I think what we are in for is a fabulous night of Open Rugby League.
Absolutely.
And I think we're in for quite a few points. And I genuinely hope we're in for a very similar game to the one that we had at the Totally Wicked Stadium in the normal league fixture, which finished 32-30. And that pushed Saints as far as any game has this season when they've had a full choice team out. I think you're right about Salford's journey. I think there's something extremely romantic about it that's rekindled our love of sport and why we love the underdog and why we've got somebody to follow in a final, whether we support them or not. And I get all of that. And I also get the fact that Ian Watson has done a magnificent job to meld the guys he's got into a unit. And the one thing I think he'll be stressing all this week is we'll never get the chance to do this again. We're breaking up as a team. So we're going out and making history. But my but is that I just think Saints have been so good this year, and the fact that they didn't do it at Wembley is all the motivation they need. And I'm with you. I think it'll be close. I think it might be even less than 7 points. I think it might be 4. But I just think that it'll be Justin Holbrook celebrating on the edge of the pitch in his final game, and I'm going for St Helens, but I'm going for them reluctantly. And I haven't got any predictions right this year, so it doesn't really matter, to be honest.
I said at the time when Cass got there in 2017 and they didn't win, because Mark's mentioned this and I've been outed for saying it, that was their chance and they didn't take it. And they didn't take it for reasons we all know about, so I'm not saying what happened, and Danny Maguire is magnificent on the day. As you've said, Phil, Salford know this team's breaking up after this week. They aren't going to get another chance, even though Castle they may do again in the future. So they are fully aware going into this game that there is one opportunity for them to be crowned champions, this group to be crowned champions and make history and break everything. I just think they'll slightly come up short, but not for the want of trying, not for the want of attitude, not for the want of effort. Saints won the league by 16 points, and I can't get past that. But I'm not saying Salford can't win. St Helens by 8, but the proviso is, as you mentioned, their motivation is that final defeat at Wembley. They don't want to be given the tag of big game bottlers, and if they lose on Saturday, that is the legacy of Justin Holbrook's team. We'll see what happens.
Can't wait.
We'll see what happens.
And the great thing is we can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
More than anything.
Absolutely.
Whoever wins, whoever you support.
This could be the best grand final we've had.
We're looking at a classic.
I'm hoping that these sponsors give you a Pacamac or something to wear with Super League on it. You know, as the free gift this year.
He'll be in trouble. You'll be lording it.
We know you are actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing coffee.
Yeah. We don't want to talk about that.
3-course meal.
5-course meal accounts.
5.
Does that include an amuse bouche?
What's that mean? What's that?
Palate refreshener.
What?
That's a pint of whatever.
Oh, I ain't got a clue. Five courses. I ain't got a clue, mate. I ain't got a clue.
He thought that was something you could drink.
But hey, listen, this should be a great game. And I tell you what,
the other thing I would
players,
say,
that, you know, we all just in all, but it's his last game. Ian Watson, it's his first big competition from a point of view, being the coach, and all the players. Listen, fellas, go out there and enjoy it. Simple as that.
If you haven't bought a ticket,
get there,
and you think that you might, do it.
Get there,
because I think you're going to regret not being there.
Absolutely. You know, this could be one of the what's the Welshman's thing? I was there. What's his name?
Max Boyce.
This could be a Max Boyce situation. Was I was there? Whether you support Salford or St Helens, this is what rugby league is all about.
And there's no major football, is there? Because it's an international weekend.
Listen,
so put this sport on the map.
Get there for the event itself.
Yeah.
Get there. This is the grand final. This is a Max Boyce situation.
Yeah.
I was there, and listen, Salford fans, listen, you're going to be there. You're winning the grand final on Saturday because the legend says. Good night.
Max Boyce. When I was growing up, there was a Max Boyce's book was on the bookshelves in my house, and as a great broadcaster said, I don't even know if you're allowed to mention Danny Baker's name anymore.
You are.
And in this building, it's apt. You never regret buying the book. You only regret not buying the book. We'll see what happens.
Can't wait.
Enjoy.
See you at Old Trafford.
Get there.
Oh, well, see you at Cass tomorrow first.
Yeah, we're at Cass. Look forward to it, Cass fans.
Yeah. Come and give us some stick.
Grant Anderson, hope you're there, son. It's the best pass I've ever received in my life, and I never even played with Grant. Cheers, Grant. See you tomorrow.